What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 9LS. Chapter 201. The three giants of the New World reunite in Sabayati Archipelago. Interesting for you. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. 285. 74. 249. Hearing the reminder from the two younger sisters behind him, Boa Hancock, who reacted quickly explained, "No, I just want to ask where you are now." Although Moran was a bit baffled when he heard about the marriage, he was not surprised when he thought of Hancock's character. Moran looked at the red tree number 50 not far away and said, "I am now at the red tree number 50 in Sabayati Archipelago, come here to find me directly after you come. The concubine has arrived near the Sabayati Archipelago, so I'll go find you." That's it for now. Yeah, goodbye Moran. Looking at the phone bug that hung up, Boa Hancock fell into fantasy again, holding the phone bug in his palm, showing a blurred look in his eyes. "See you soon Moran. Get married, get married, get married." The two younger sisters behind saw Boa Hancock doing this again, so they could only command the boat to go to mangrove number 50. They also heard the conversation just now, so they knew where they were going without Boa Hancock telling them. Moran's ship slowly approached mangrove number 50, surrounded by pirate ships under the Whitebeard Pirates group, and dozens of pirate ships were waiting for coating. They don't have Moran's ability to cross the red line, so they can only obediently coat and take the route of the Fishman Island. That's the ship of the Wanjian pirates. What are they doing here? Do you have any brains? Of course they came here for coating, otherwise how would they return to New World? Did they fly over? What they don't know is that Moran can really fly there, but he's going to the Fishman Island, that's why he came here for coating. No matter what they are here for, let's go and inform Dad. I also think it makes sense, let's go together. Those who were the first to discover the Wanjian pirates ran to inform Whitebeard. When they encountered a strong person of this level, they could only inform Whitebeard. Otherwise, if something happened, they would not be able to make the decision. After the boat docked, Moran looked at Van Oka and said, "Van Oka, find someone to coat the boat, the sooner the better." "Gu la 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 la. Boy Moran, you are late. We have already hired all the coating craftsmen here. You should come in a few days." After receiving the news, Whitebeard walked slowly from the inside of the island to the shore, walking one side laughed loudly. Moran glanced around. Sure enough there wasn't a single idle coating craftsman, then looked at the triumphant Whitebeard. Moran showed a wicked smile on his face. Seeing Moran's smirk, Whitebeard suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart, hoping that this kid Moran would not mess around. Moran raised his hand with a smirk on his face, and ordered without looking back, "Sink their boats. Let's see how they are still upset. This way the coating craftsmen will have free time to coat our ships." Whitebeard's eyes widened instantly, and he roared angrily, "You be asterisk 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 D Moran, don't mess around, I'll just give you some coating artisans." It would be fine to meet Moran in normal times, but at this time on their boat, there are either injured people or dead bodies. If the boat is sunk, these people will not be able to save themselves. Moran also understood this point. He had predicted that Whitebeard would not dare to do anything, so he said this on purpose, and asked them to let the coating craftsmen out by themselves. Moran said with a smile, "Whitebeard, don't be so angry. I was just joking with you." But he secretly thought in his heart, if some coating craftsmen are not allowed to come out, maybe the joke will become true. It's a good thing these two monsters didn't fight, otherwise we would all suffer. Who said it wasn't? Who do you think Whitebeard will ask to coat the Dragon Emperor Moran? This kind of thing is not something we can decide, let's not worry about it. That's right. A group of coating craftsmen were on the sidelines, and they were relieved to see that the two parties did not fight, and then they were discussing who would coat Moran's ship. "Ha ha ha ha, Whitebeard, you're too mean, aren't you? You've been attacked by others, but you dare not fight back. This is not like your usual style, Whitebeard." The people around plating and the Whitebeard pirates breathed a sigh of relief just now. When everyone heard this, their hearts instantly rose to their throats. Everyone hated in their hearts, who is this person who has no eyesight, who is idle and has nothing to do, or is he afraid that the world will not be chaotic? The atmosphere here has just relaxed, and the people around feel the oppressive atmosphere again after being told by this guy. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound, and immediately saw Shanks walking out of the island with a group of crew members. Their boat also needs coating. After Shanks found the coating craftsman, he took the crew to drink inside the island. He just came out and saw this scene, and couldn't help but mocked Whitebeard. Seeing Shanks who was still heartless, Beckman reminded, "Shanks, you may be in trouble." Shanks looked at Beckman with a blank face, and asked suspiciously, "What trouble can I have?" Whitebeard didn't come to trouble Shanks right now. Instead, he walked towards his own boat and said without looking back, "The redhead waits for Lousy to settle the suns. I will let you know Lousy Whitebeard's usual style. I hope you can still be so tough when the time comes." Beckman looked at Whitebeard who was going away, then glanced at the boat on the sea, "Good king, good," and said to himself, "Is it because of these pirates that he has any concerns?" According to Whitebeard's usual style, when someone provokes, he always comes up and says, but this time he didn't do anything, probably because of the wounded on board, let him have some concerns. Beckman looked at Shanks and asked, "Now you know what's wrong with you." Shanks also came to his senses at this time, his face gradually turned pale and he said, "This old guy is still so grumpy, but it's okay, let's fight him." Ha 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 ha. As Shanks spoke, his complexion slowly recovered, and after a while he returned to his heartless look, and laughed out loud. Just because of Shanks' words, a collision between the 5 emperors broke out in New World not long after, but these are things for later. Chapter 202, Hooves of the Celestial Dragons. After Shanks made such a fuss, Mangrove number 50 became quiet again, and the surroundings were terribly quiet, except for the sound of coding craftsmen tapping on the ship and coding each pirate ship. At this time, a boat pulled by 2 sea kings approached them, and the calm was finally broken, and they were no longer so depressed. Why is another pirate ship coming? Do you know that pirate ship? That's the ship of 7 warlords of the sea Boa Hancock. It's strange. Why are all these big men running here today? You can see that they are approaching the ship of the Dragon King Moran. Could it be that the pirate empress Boa Hancock is here to find the Dragon King Moran? I heard that people who saw the pirate queen Boa Hancock were all turned to stone, and I don't know if this rumor is true. This is the most beautiful woman in the world, even if it turns me into a stone just by looking at it, then I'm willing. That's right, as long as you can take a look at it from a distance, it's worth my death, let alone it's just a rumor, that's all. A group of coding craftsmen and pirates on the shore stretched their necks when they saw the pirate ship approaching slowly, wanting to see the face of the most beautiful woman in the world. Even if there is a risk of turning into stones, it can't stop them from looking at beautiful women. After all, the opportunity to see the most beautiful women in the world is not available every moment. It's a pity that due to the distance, only the people near the Moran boat saw Boa Hancock, and the others almost stretched their necks. Moran looked at the pirate ship docked, walked to the shore and looked at Boa Hancock on board, and welcomed him with a smile on his face. Hancock welcomes you. Boa Hancock did not answer Moran's words, but murmured to himself with blurred eyes. Ah. Moran is called Hancock, so is this a marriage proposal? Hancock. Hancock. Moran looked at the blushing Boa Hancock, covering his face with his hands, and tried to call out a few more times, but there was still no response at all. It seemed that he was dying. Elder sister. The 2 younger sisters behind couldn't stand it any longer, and pushed Boa Hancock, and Boa Hancock, who came back to his senses, looked at Moran with a blushing face and said, "It's nice to see you, Moran, thank you for being able to wait for my concubine here body." Then he invited again. "Moran, can you come to my boat? There are some things I want to talk to you alone." "Of course can. Search." Moran jumped directly into their boat, with Boa Hancock leading the way, and followed Boa Hancock into a room. In fact, Boa Hancock didn't need to speak, he knew what she was going to say, probably it was about the imprint. "You all back down. It's my sister." After Boa Hancock swung his hands back, he looked at Moran in front of him, and asked with a painful face, "Do you know the hooves of celestial dragons?" "No some." Boa Hancock was not surprised. After all, Moran was also a marine before, and it was because of these celestial dragons that he was forced to become a pirate. Boa Hancock turned around and said, "Since you know about that concubine, you don't need to explain so much, I'll show you directly." Turning around, Boa Hancock raised the hair behind him, revealing the hooves of the celestial dragons behind him, and asked in a trembling voice, "Do you see clearly?" Moran saw the hooves of the celestial dragons behind her, and asked a little puzzled, "I can see clearly, but I want to know, what do you mean by showing me this?" Boa Hancock let his hair down again, turned around with tears streaming down his face, bit his lips and looked at Moran and asked, "I used to be that kind of identity, would you mind if such a person followed you?" Moran showed a sunny smile, walked over and hugged her into his arms and comforted her. "If you can come here to find me, then you should know me before you come here, right? Do you think I mind who you used to be?" Boa Hancock did investigate Moran. Originally, when Marineford knew that the celestial dragons must be killed, she only had a slight affection for Moran. But after finding out why Moran became a pirate, this kind of affection slowly evolved into love. According to her fantasy-loving character, it is not difficult to understand this situation. Asking for flowers. Ah, so happy. Moran is hugging my concubine. Is this love? I wonder when Moran will propose. What Moran didn't know was that after he hugged Boa Hancock into his arms, Boa Hancock didn't listen to the words at all, and his mind fell into his own fantasy. Moran said a lot of comforting words, but Boa Hancock didn't respond at all. Moran looked down suspiciously, and suddenly asked speechlessly, Hey, Hancock, are you listening to me?" "Ah, I would." Boa Hancock didn't know what he thought of, squinting his blurred eyes and blushing face, he just blurted out. Seeing this scene, Moran thought to himself, got it. It's hopeless. No matter what he says now, Boa Hancock probably won't listen. Thinking of Moran letting go of Boa Hancock directly, looking at her and saying, "Hancock, calm down first, I will come out first, come to me after you calm down." Moran could only walk out helplessly, while Boa Hancock was still covering his red face, imagining some unhealthy things in pang. Boya Sandersonia saw Moran coming out, but she couldn't see her sister, so she stepped forward and asked, "Dragon Emperor Moran, my sister, why didn't she come out with you?" Moran raised his head and glanced at her, showing a puzzled expression. "Kaido, Boa Hancock is inside, go in and see for yourself." Moran thinks that Boa Hancock has a cute character and is very defensive, but he falls into fantasy at every turn and cannot extricate himself, which is a bit difficult. Moran still doesn't know why Boa Hancock came to him. It's impossible to just show him the mark of celestial dragons. There must be other things. Da. The two sisters, who thought something happened to Boa Hancock, ran into the room directly to check, and after seeing Boa Hancock inside, the two quietly retreated to the room, both secretly complaining in their hearts. My sister is already terminally ill. What? Chapter 203. Summon characters again. After Moran stepped off the ship of the Nine Snake Pirates, he did not go back to his own ship. At this time their ship was also being coated, and only the coating craftsmen were coating their ship, and the others also left the ship. Sit and chat on the shore. Now he couldn't stay on the boat when he went back, and he had one more thing to do, so he went directly to the interior of the island. When he came to a place where there was no one, Moran looked around and made sure that there was no one before he started to summon the characters. The system assigns me a character to summon. Please confirm the characters that need to be summoned. Fubuki of the One Punch Man world, Tornado's younger sister. Moran was afraid that the system would make a mistake, so he specially reminded Tornado's younger sister. This kind of designated summoning is not cheap, and he will not allow a little mistake. Deduct 19.2 billion Bailey from the designated summoned characters. Designated summoner Fushui. A summoning gate radiating golden light appeared in front of Moran. The golden light of the summoning gate is getting stronger and stronger. A young girl walked out from the golden summoning door. She has 21 short black hair, a pair of green eyes, a very pretty face, and looks very tall. Congratulations to the host for the successful summoning. For the summoned character, the system will directly enter the host information, One Piece world information into the character's mind. Character. Fubuki of Hell. Physique. Advanced. Ability. Superpower Mind. Skills. Flying, wind control, telekinetic long distance attack. Favorability. Max. Strength. Admiral Jr. There are some changes to the summoned characters, don't pay too much attention to the original work and details, these worlds are different, there is no way, only a little change. Moran looked at the girl in front of him and said hello, Shushwei welcomes you. If you don't understand anything, just ask me. Fubuki was receiving the One Piece information sent to her by the system, and gradually came back to her senses, and asked directly when she heard Moran's words, are you the Lord Moran that the voice in my mind said? Yes, I am Alphad Moran. Fushui walked up to Moran, and introduced. Hi, Master Moran, my name is Fushui, please give me your advice in the future. Knowing that Moran knows her name, I have to introduce it again, because I am afraid that someone will not remember her name. Moran wanted to go back earlier, so he urged him directly. Okay, we've also met, do you have any questions? The information of this world, that voice has all been transmitted to my mind, so I don't have any doubts for the time being. Then let's go back now. Moran thought of Tornado and said, by the way, your sister Tornado is also here, you can surprise her later. Fubuki's originally calm face became anxious when he heard his sister, and he grabbed Moran's arm and asked, where is my sister? Her sister's original world had disappeared for so long, she had searched all over the original world, but there was no news at all. I didn't expect to receive news from my sister again, but it was in this strange world, no wonder she couldn't find it, it turned out that her sister came here. Moran looked at Fubuki who was in a hurry, and comforted him. Your sister Tornado is not far away, don't worry, you can see her in a while. Fushui heard that it was not far away, so she was not in a hurry, and after slowly regaining her composure, she asked, how is she doing now? Moran said inexplicably, Tornado is not far away. I'll take you there now. If you want to know how she is doing, you can ask her face to face. Fushui's eyes were erratic, and she said inappropriately, whether she is doing well or not is none of my business, I don't want to know about her. Moran looked at the stubborn little girl, he decided to help the two sisters and said, I didn't want to tell you, but I think you, as her sister, have the right to know this, so I decided to tell you. Speaking of this, Moran stopped suddenly, glanced at Fushui, and found that she was staring at him with a very expectant expression, and then Moran continued, your sister misses you very much, sometimes she hides secretly crying, that's why I decided to bring you into this world. The two sisters fought each other as soon as they met. For his future happy life, he had to find a way to make their relationship better in advance, otherwise there would be no peace on his boat in the future. Sure enough, the two sisters were both sharp-mouthed and tofu-hearted, hard-mouthed and soft-hearted. When they heard Moran's flickering, Fushui's eyes instantly turned red. But this is not false, Tornado really misses Fubuki very much, but he never said it out loud, but Moran has always noticed it, so he decided to summon Fuyuki too. Fubuki's tears couldn't stop falling, she looked at Moran and asked, is what you said true? Does she really miss me that much? Then why didn't she find me? Moran was stunned by the question of why the three asked. Moran came back to his senses and comforted him. I don't need to lie to you, she's been very depressed recently, I wanted to take care of things here at 230, so I took her I went to visit you, but after thinking about it, I decided to bring you here too, so I don't have to run back and forth in the future. Wipe your tears, I'll take you to meet her. It is good. After that, neither of them talked, Moran led the way, Fubuki followed silently, and after a while, they came to the beach. Moran saw the Tornado sitting on the red tree, looking into the distance with his chin resting on his small hands, his little feet swaying from side to side, showing a preoccupied look. Tornado, come down, someone is looking for you. Come right away. The Tornado flew down from the big tree and slowly flew towards Moran. At this time, she hadn't found Fubuki standing behind Moran. After the Tornado flew in front of Moran, he asked, who is Moran looking for me? Moran didn't answer Tornado's words, but stepped aside to reveal Fubuki behind him, and the eyes of the two sisters turned red instantly when they met. Moran looked at the two sisters who were silent, and joked with a smile, "Do you two need me to introduce you?" FKU. The two sisters said in unison. Chapter 204. Successful Summoning, Fubuki of Hell. This guy is very bad, Fushui, don't talk to him, let's go over there and talk. After finishing speaking, Long Wan pulled Fushui, walked aside and started chatting. Moran looked at the two people who were walking away slowly, and in his heart, thousands of muddy horses galloped past. These two sisters are too ruthless. He had spent so much effort to summon Fushui, but he was still disgusted by others. This was absolutely not acceptable, he couldn't swallow it. We have to find a way to make some compensation in other places. The tornado seems too small and inappropriate, but Fubuki is different. Whatever you want is absolutely suitable. After thinking about it, Moran suddenly showed a bad smile, glanced at the direction of the two sisters, and said in his heart, "Let them go today, there will be more opportunities in the future." Moran looked at the two sisters who were chatting happily in the distance. He didn't intend to join in the fun. After all, the two sisters hadn't seen each other for a year or two, so they should have a lot to talk about. Who is that captain? Robin appeared behind Moran at some point, looking in the direction of the two Tornado sisters and asked. Moran was startled when he heard the voice. He was too involved in the matter just now, and he didn't notice someone came behind him. He turned around and saw that it was Robin, and replied, "That's Tornado's sister Fushui, and she will be our new sister from now on. Friends, I will introduce you at 250 later." Robin was a little surprised and asked, "Is that the younger sister who makes dragon juice tea not think about food?" It's no secret that Tornado has a younger sister on board, because this little girl gets depressed whenever she thinks about her sister, and Moran explained it to the people on board, so everyone on board knows about it. That's right, it's her. Let's leave them alone, let's do our own thing. After finishing speaking, Moran pulled Robin into the island. "Captain, where are you taking me? Do you think it's dark today? We can't live on the ship for a few days, why don't we find a place to stay? Why don't you invite them to go with you?" Moran turned his head and asked angrily, "It's hard for me to have time to live with you for a while, are you sure you want to bring them with you?" Robin's face turned red slightly, she thought she was just looking for a hotel for everyone to live together, but she didn't expect this guy to live with her, she was secretly happy, this guy finally got the hang of it. Moran took Robin to the front of a hotel in a short while, the two smiled at each other, walked in directly, and lived a life in the world of two. Noon the next day, as soon as Moran brought Robin to the shore of Mangrove number 50, Boa Hancock greeted him and said, "I want to follow you, Moran, you can give me a chance." Quote. This time Boa Hancock learned to be smart, and went straight to the topic, otherwise she was afraid that she could not help but fall into fantasy again. Moran looked at Boa Hancock in front of him, not only didn't dare to look at him directly, he didn't even dare to face him, and kept looking down at his little feet. Moran also knew what was going on, so he didn't make things difficult for her, and asked directly, "You must know that you are a king, are you sure you want to follow me?" Boa Hancock still lowered his head, but he said very resolutely, "Before I came here, I have already considered very clearly, I want to follow you. Because only by following you, the concubine will have the opportunity to approach you, and with the opportunity to approach you, the concubine will have the opportunity to marry you." Moran looked at the people behind Boa Hancock and asked, "Are you all willing to follow me too?" "We both would. It is my honor to follow the Dragon King. Please accept us." Moran looked at Boa Hancock's two younger sisters, and took the lead in shouting requests in unison. If this hadn't been rehearsed, he wouldn't believe it. Moran looked at Boa Hancock and thought to himself, Boa CBFA, Hancock probably asked for the rehearsal, otherwise how could they, who have never even seen a man, know these things, at most they have heard of their own name, worshipping yourself is a bit nonsense. But all he wants is Boa Hancock, as long as Boa Hancock is settled, then her 9 snake pirates will belong to him, so it doesn't matter if the 9 snake pirates know him or not. As long as Boa Hancock knows him, it's okay. Thinking of this, Moran said to Boa Hancock, "From now on, you members of the 9 snake pirates will be the 4th team of my Wanjian pirates. Boa Hancock, you are the captain, and you are responsible for how to distribute the others. Decide. From now on, please take care of me, Captain Moran. I am Boa Hancock, the captain of the 9 snake pirates. From now on, I will follow you until Cape Tiana, and I will never leave you for the rest of my life." Moran ignored Boa Hancock, who had staring eyes and made some strange oaths, and continued, "Our pirate group is one of the 5 emperors of the New World. My name is Alfad Moran, and my title is Dragon. The emperor is the captain of the Wanjian pirates. I know about Moran, are there any other rules for the pirates? There are 2 rules. 1. You can't rob civilians. Others, pirates, marines, GM army, you can all snatch me. 2. Don't suffer, if you can't beat it, run away first, don't be ashamed, if you are bullied, you can contact me, I will help you get ahead, and if the other 4 emperors come, I can beat them to death." After Moran had finished speaking, he ordered, "Okay, I've finished what I need to say, the crew of the Wanjian pirates are over there, Robin, take them there to get to know each other, so that you don't know your own people in the future. And it would be a joke if you fight." "I know the captain." Robin took the members of the 9 snake pirates to the members of the Wanjian pirates and introduced the crew to the group of female warriors. However, Boa Hancock did not move. He stood on the spot and touched his 2 index fingers. He lowered his head and stammered, Moran wants to invite you to have lunch together, but I don't know you, do you have time? Moran now seriously suspects that Boa Hancock ran all the way to follow him, not really wanting to follow him, but just trying to kiss him. But, I like it. Hey. Thinking of this, Moran directly agreed. I have a lot of time, please lead the way. Chapter 205. Parting, Reluctant Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock twisted his waist, walked ahead and said, come here with me, I have been preparing delicious food for you since morning. Moran saw that Boa Hancock was walking towards his boat, and he knew that she said that the preparations would start in the morning, probably for him, but he was still talking to Robin in the morning, and Boa Hancock couldn't find it. 2 people, that's why I dragged it until now. Thinking of this, Moran followed Boa Hancock's footsteps and walked in the direction of her pirate ship. When Moran came to Boa Hancock's boat, he was taken to a restaurant. When he saw a large table of food in front of him, he was moved. Say it. Seeing Moran standing still, Boa Hancock urged, Moran, this is the delicacy prepared by my concubine, you don't have to be polite, just eat it. Moran glanced at Boa Hancock. Looking at her charming, Moran shouted in his heart, Lousy is not greedy for food, but you Boa Hancock. But he was just thinking about it, it's not appropriate to eat her up when we first met, since there are plenty of opportunities for post-21s. After Moran sat down, he looked at Boa Hancock and said, sit down too, let's eat together. Yes, Moran is so gentle, the way he eats is also very handsome. I don't know when he will propose to my concubine. I really want to know what it looks like after marriage. After Boa Hancock sat down, he didn't eat, but put his hands on his chin, watching Moran eat, and fell into a deep fantasy, unable to extricate himself. Moran felt uncomfortable being stared at by Boa Hancock, and reminded carelessly, you can also eat Hancock. If you don't eat it, the food will be cold. Yes, quote. Hearing Moran's voice, Boa Hancock came back to his senses in an instant, and lowered his head shyly to pick at the delicious food in front of him, but he still didn't speak. Seeing that Boa Hancock didn't listen to persuasion, and Moran didn't care about him, she couldn't starve herself anyway, Moran thought very straight. Next, Moran turned into a rice cooker and ate all the delicacies prepared by Boa Hancock. In the next 2 days, Moran lived a life of being spoiled by Boa Hancock, taking care of him meticulously every day. It is hard to imagine that a king can do this after falling in love with someone. Mangrove number 50. After 2 days, Moran's pirate ship has been coated, and she is saying goodbye to Boa Hancock at this time. She did not go to New World with Moran, but after listening to Moran's suggestion, she decided to train a king first, and then came to follow Moran. When Moran was chatting with Boa Hancock 2 days ago, he suggested that she go back and cultivate a king first, so that she can go wherever she wants in the future. Boa Hancock heard this suggestion and decided to do it without thinking. Moran looked at the reluctant Boa Hancock on the shore. In fact, after these 2 days of getting along, he was also a little bit reluctant, but for the sake of the future, he persuaded, Hancock, go back first. I will wait for you in New World's arrival. After Moran waits for his concubine to cultivate a king, he will definitely go to New World to find you. Don't forget to meet him in person. Moran looked at the cautious Boa Hancock, and said with a smile, don't worry, I won't forget you, you have to be confident in yourself, you are the most beautiful woman in the world. After Moran finished speaking, he looked at Robin and said, Robin sails, the target is the Fishman Island. It's the captain. Boom. Moran's boat sank slowly into the bottom of the sea, setting off a splash of water, and gradually disappeared on the surface of the sea, sailing to the depths of the sea. Looking at the pirate ship sinking into the sea, Boa Hancock secretly made up his mind that he must train a king as soon as possible, so that he will not have to be separated from Moran in the future, and can always be by Moran's side. Like those people around him, he follows wherever he goes, and he feels happy just thinking about it. Sister, we should go back too. We have been out for several days. Boa Sandersonia reminded Boa Hancock, who was watching the motionless. Boa Hancock came back to his senses, turned into a queen in seconds and ordered, Sandersonia orders, we will go back to Amazon Lily now. It's my sister. Her tenderness will always be reserved for Moran. In the eyes of others, she will always be the high-ranking pirate empress, Boa Hancock, who can only be seen from a distance but not close. After a few hours, the ship of Wanjian pirates is slowly approaching the Fishman Island. Van Oka looked at the huge bubble not far away, and shouted to remind, Captain, I saw the Fishman Island, it's not far from there. Moran looked at the Fishman Island so close, and asked speechlessly, we are not blind, so the Fishman Island needs you to remind. The Fishman Island was in front of his eyes. Van Oka found out, and Moran seriously suspected that this guy was just being lazy, otherwise he couldn't have found the Fishman Island so close. Thinking of this, Mo looked at Van Oka suspiciously and asked, Van Oka, were you being lazy just now? Otherwise, why did you find out that you were so close? Van Oka explained with a mournful face, 487 inches Captain, I am wronged. I can't help but see the bottom of the sea clearly, but I definitely didn't discover it because I was lazy. Lord Moran. Moran was still talking to Van Oka when a voice interrupted him. Moran turned his head in doubt and looked in the direction of the sound, and saw a huge pink mermaid swimming towards them at high speed. Only a pink afterimage could be seen at such a fast speed. Moran knew who was coming when he saw this scene, and as expected, a huge pink mermaid was lying on the railing of his boat in a short while. Moran looked at the pink and tender mermaid and asked, "Little Shirahoshi, why did you escape by yourself?" Shirahoshi showed a cute smile and said, "Master Moran, I heard that your father said that you were coming, so I came here to find you." That's right, this mermaid is Shirahoshi. When she heard the news that Moran was coming, she sneaked out and waited for Moran's arrival near the port. Moran looked at this innocent Shirahoshi, and was really afraid that she would be abducted by human traffickers one day, so he warned, "Shirahoshi will not run around alone in the future, you will be caught by bad guys, you know." Chapter 206. Princess Shirahoshi who eats cute and grows up. Shirahoshi said with a small angry expression, "Master Moran, I came to pick you up, but you actually called me, I ignore you." After Shirahoshi finished speaking, he turned around angrily, leaving only the back of Moran's head, and a huge pink fish tail swaying from side to side. Hey, our little Shirahoshi will lose his temper now, and he is no longer the crybaby he used to be. Moran looked at the angry Shirahoshi, didn't care at all, and said slowly. The last time I saw him, he was still the crybaby who cried at every turn, but now Moran said that he didn't mean to cry. Moran looked at Shirahoshi's cute appearance with his back turned to him, with bulging cheeks. If it wasn't for being in the sea now, he would have wanted to go up and poke Shirahoshi's bulging cheeks. Moran wants to ask, "Shirahoshi, did you grow up eating cute? Otherwise how could you be so cute?" Shirahoshi turned around and said with an angry look, "Master Moran, you are so disgusting, you actually made fun of me." Seeing her turn around, Moran stretched out a sinful hand quickly and poked her swollen cheek with his index finger. Shirahoshi was immediately stunned by Moran's attack, and after reacting, he yelled at Moran frantically, "Master Moran, you are still so hateful, you always like to bully me, you Yuans." Moran looked at by 113 Shing who couldn't even swear, and felt amused in his heart, this little girl is really innocent. Moran started fooling around and said, "Shirahoshi just had something on your face, I was poking it off for you, you are so cute, how could I bully you? If you are so cute, who do you bully? Really? Of course it's true, false." At this time Robin came over and interrupted, "Captain, let's enter the Fishman Island first and chat." "Little Shirahoshi, we are going to enter the Fishman Island, you should go back with us." "Master Moran, I will show you the way, you must follow me closely." After Shirahoshi finished speaking, he rushed out, the speed of the mermaid in the sea was as fast as lightning, and she ran away without a trace. Moran was speechless for a while, how could he follow at such a speed, CBAI? Forget it, they should find their own port to enter the Fishman Island. After Shirahoshi swam far away, he realized that Moran hadn't followed behind him. With a puzzled look on his face, he said to himself, "Strange, why didn't Master Moran follow? Oh, how did I forget, the speed of the boat can't keep up with me." Shirahoshi covered her face on the spot, looking a little at a loss. Suddenly her eyes lit up and she said to herself, "Master Moran is going to the port, I can see him when I go to the port, I am so smart la." Soon after, Moran came to the port of the Fishman Island and saw Shirahoshi hiding behind Neptune. Moran looked at the hiding Shirahoshi, and joked, "Hey, isn't this the little Shirahoshi who went to pick us up? How come this came back earlier than us?" Shirahoshi showed a small head from behind Neptune, looked at Moran with a little embarrassment and said, "Master Moran, I forgot, the boat is not as fast as I am, so I just." Moran answered angrily, "So you ran back first, am I right? Little Shirahoshi." "Me, Shirahoshi, I spoke for a long time but couldn't say a complete sentence. Tears started to roll in my eyes, and the tears might fall at any time." Seeing this scene, Moran knew that he couldn't tease her anymore, otherwise it would be a bit difficult to really cry, so he said directly, "Shirahoshi, I was joking with you, you can't cry. Now this is a port, if the crying of this little girl attracts the Sea Kings, then it will be a bit difficult to end. He is not afraid of these Sea Kings, but the Fishman Island will be his territory in the future, if it is destroyed because of this, it will be a bit of a loss. Shirahoshi, Lord Dragon Emperor is just joking with you, you don't have to take it to heart, father will ask your brother to take you to the sea forest later, okay?" Seeing his daughter's pitiful look, Neptune quickly turned around to comfort her, and promised to let her play in her favorite sea forest. Shirahoshi then asked with a smile, "Father, is what you said true?" "Real." Shirahoshi was still a little worried and said again, "Father, you must not lie." "Don't worry, when did the father lie to you?" Moran jumped off the boat in embarrassment, and made the princess cry as soon as he came, which was really a bit unreasonable, but luckily he didn't cry. Seeing Moran coming down, Neptune came over and said, "Master Dragon King, we heard that you are coming to the Fishman Island, and we have already set up a banquet in the Dragon King Palace, and we are waiting for your arrival." Although Neptune was a little upset seeing Moran, he didn't dare to get angry. After all, he also received the news that Whitebeard would hand over the Fishman Island to Moran, and this would be Moran's territory from now on. This feeling is good. Little ones, let's go to dinner, this is a rare opportunity. It's the captain. After Moran finished speaking, he took the lead and walked ahead without anyone leading the way. He is familiar with this place, and he will only become more familiar with it in the future. After all, this will be his territory from now on. They haven't eaten anything since noon, and they can't cook in the sea, so he is already hungry. Neptune's banquet is exactly what he wants. Dragon Emperor Moran heard that Whitebeard is going to hand over the Fishman Island to you, is this news true? Jinbe asked Moran after a few steps to catch up. A few days ago, Jinbe also participated in the Summit War. After the meeting of the Whitebeard pirates in the Sabayati archipelago, Margao talked to him alone about this matter. At that time, Margao didn't make it clear, he just said that the Fishman Island might be handed over to Dragon King Moran in the future, so he came to Moran to ask for clarification. Moran glanced at the blue fat man, and asked speechlessly, "You are not in a hurry, the Emperor is not in a hurry, and Neptune is not in a hurry. Why are you in a hurry, blue fat man?" Jinbe still asked anxiously, "Dragon Emperor Moran, please also tell me that the Fishman Island is no different than other islands. If Whitebeard really wants to hand over the Fishman Island to you, we can make preparations in advance." Seeing that he had a good attitude, Moran didn't make things difficult for him anymore, and said directly, "The Fishman Island will be my territory from now on, and the handover will start when Whitebeard comes down. You should make preparations as soon as possible." Chapter 207. Jinbe, who is overwhelmed, wants to challenge the combat members. The Fishman Island is really going to fall into the hands of this guy. It seems that the Fishman Island will change in the future. The Fishman Island fell into the hands of this guy. I don't know whether it is good or bad. After all, they don't know much about Moran. Jinbe only knows that Moran and the others are very strong, and they don't know anything else. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, they can't avoid it. Well, if this news is true, then the other news may also be true. Half of Whitebeard's territory will be taken over by Dragon Emperor Moran. Moran looked at Jinbe's preoccupied look, and asked inexplicably, Hey, fat man, what's your expression? Could it be that the Fishman Island fell into my hands, and you're just so pessimistic? Jinbe didn't hide it, and directly said what was in his heart. It's not that I don't like you Wanjian pirates, but 227 is the world's understanding of you, which is too little, including old man. It is true that the world only knows that the Wanjian pirates are powerful, but they don't know how strong they are. It seems that when going to New World this time, it is necessary to let these guys out of the boat. Anyway, they are a group of fighting madmen. This kind of thing probably suits their wishes. Moran stopped and looked at Jinbe, then looked at the crew behind him and said, I'll give you a chance to get to know our Wanjian pirates. After finishing speaking, Moran pointed to the crew behind him, and continued, You can choose any combat member on my ship. If anyone can't blow you up, I won't set foot on the Fishman Island again. If you can't beat them, then join my pirate group. How about being my pirate group? Jinbe doubted the abilities of the 10,000 Swords pirates. Although it was understandable, it still made him very unhappy. He had to suffer a little bit, otherwise he would feel uncomfortable. Jinbe's face gradually turned pale. He just wanted to inquire about the Wanjian pirates' information, but he didn't expect Moran to come here. He was afraid of offending Moran if he fought, and he was afraid of missing the opportunity to get to know them if he didn't fight. Jinbe was in a dilemma for a while, but in the end he chose to fight. He doesn't want to miss the opportunity to learn about the Wanjian pirates, because this opportunity is really important to them from the Fishman Island. Thinking clearly, Jinbe looked at Moran and said, Dragon Emperor Moran, I still want to try to see how powerful the people of Kuituan are. Moran was overjoyed when he heard this, and told the crew not far away, combat members step forward 2 steps, and those who are not combat members go aside first. He also hoped that Jinbe would agree, otherwise he would not have the chance to teach this blue fat man a lesson. Jinbe looked at the several combat members who came out, but he didn't know which one to choose. Uchiha Madara, Tornado, and Acedus, these few were excluded, because the record of these 3 was obvious, and he's still a little self-aware. Thinking of the strength of these 3, it was only then that he realized that with these 3 people on the Wanjian pirates, even if the strength of the others is not very good, they are already stronger than the other 4 emperors. Jinbe's face gradually turned pale. How stupid he is to doubt the ability and strength of their Wanjian pirates. In the final analysis, Jinbe's information is too poor. The group of monsters on Moran's ship is not a secret in the eyes of those big forces. Although they don't know the specific strength, they can probably guess it. Moran saw that Jinbe was slow to make a choice, and said directly, Jinbe, don't think about picking a weaker player, because their strengths are all about the same, and you will get the same result no matter how you choose. Lose. After Jinbe listened to Moran's words, his face was pale, and he stood there motionless, only feeling cold sweat streaming down his spine. The 7 or 8 people in front of him were all about the same strength. This news stunned him like a bolt from the blue. After finishing speaking, Moran looked at Neptune and said, Let's go to the Dragon Palace first, and they will come here by themselves in a short time. After Moran finished speaking, he looked at Robin and the others and said, If you want to watch the battle, you can come here after watching it. If you don't want to watch it, come with me to Dragon King Palace now. After Moran finished speaking, he didn't care about them, and walked towards the Dragon King's palace first. Although Jinbe has some strength, compared with the combat members on his ship, the gap is not that big. Master Moran, let me take you to the Dragon King's palace. Shirahoshi caught up and lifted Moran up, put it in his palm and said. Moran saw that he was not as big as Shirahoshi's palm, and immediately burst into tears. It seems that this cute girl does not belong to him. Although Neptune was a little worried about Jinbe, he had no choice but to keep up with Moran's footsteps. Moran's crew members who were not combat members also followed. Obviously they didn't like to watch these people fight. Uchiha Madara looked at Jinbe and urged, Hey, Fatty Blue, are you going to fight or not? If not, don't waste Lousy's time. Jinbe knew there was no need for Moran to lie to him, so he chose the same one, pointing to Uchiha Itachi and said, I want to compete with him, just click as far as I can, don't hurt your friendship. Can. Uchiha Itachi walked towards Jinbe slowly, the pupils of his eyes slowly turned into Sharingan, and the big windmill turned slowly. Illusion bubble. Jinbe stepped on wooden shoes, rushed towards Uchiha Itachi like a tank, clenched his fists, and blasted Uchiha Itachi with a straight fist. Murloc Karate Shawa Jungchen. Boom. Rumbling. Wow 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 wow. Right in front of the fist that Jinbe blasted out, a wave of air appeared like a shock wave. However, after the shock wave hit Uchiha Itachi directly turned into a group of crows. The house in the distance, the house collapsed directly. What Jinbe didn't notice was that behind him a flock of crows was slowly gathering to form Uchiha Itachi. Jinbe suddenly felt cold all over, cold sweat dripped down his spine, and thought to himself, oops. Before he could react, Uchiha Itachi kicked him hard on the back. Boom. 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 Rumbling. Jinbe rode directly on the ground tens of meters away, and finally stopped when he bumped into a house. The house collapsed and buried him in the ruins. Long Wan said with contempt on his face, "This blue fat man has such strength, how does he have the confidence to challenge us?" Chapter 208. Uchiha Itachi beat Jinbe. Ace Seeds looked into the ruins, and Jinbe, who hadn't moved at all, also echoed, "This guy is really boring, he's still pretending to be dead inside, doesn't he think we can't find it?" However, Arturia analyzed, "I guess he offended Moran, that's why Moran proposed this competition, the purpose is to use our hands to teach this blue fat man a good lesson." Hearing Arturia's words, Long Wan rubbed his chin and said with deep approval, "With Moran's narrow-minded personality, it's really possible that this is the case." Everyone also nodded, agreeing with Arturia's words very much. Moran's character of not wanting to suffer, they are very clear. Boom. Jinbe rushed out from the ruins, looking very embarrassed. Although he didn't suffer any injuries, his clothes had a few holes. Hey, is it true? Boss Jinbe is not their enemy. That's the crew of the Wanjian pirates, so it's not surprising to have such strength. But the boss of Jinbe used to be 7 warlords of the sea. Why can't he even defeat a crew member of the Wanjian pirates? Are the 5 emperors of the New World all so powerful? The Murlocs who have never seen the world around them can't accept this result when they see that they are the strongest existence in the Fishman Island, but they are not the all-in-one enemy of others. At this time, after Jinbe touched Uchiha Itachi, he also knew the gap between him and Uchiha Itachi, but he did not admit defeat, but planned to see how strong they were. After all, the fate of the Fishman Island will be in the hands of this group of people in the future. As the strongest of the Fishman Island, he needs to be responsible for the Fishman Island and test the strength of the Wanjian pirates. Seeing Jinbe standing motionless on top of the ruins, Long Wan urged, "Hey. Fatty Blue, are you still going to fight? If we don't fight, we can go eat Xyluo. That's right, don't waste our time." Looking at the chattering people and Murlocs around him, Jinbe blew his beard and stared angrily and shouted, "You bastards don't look down on people." Da da da, boom. Jinbe stomped on his wooden shoes. Although he was huge, he was very flexible. Halfway through the run, he suddenly soared into the sky, swooped down and came to the sky in front of Uchiha Itachi in an instant, and punched Uchiha Itachi hard. Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi looked at the fist that was getting closer, but still remained motionless, as if quietly waiting to die. Boom. Boom. Wow 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 wow. Uchiha Itachi, who was hit by the fist, turned into a group of crows and flew around. Jinbe punched a deep hole in the ground, surrounded by cobwebs, and a cloud of dust was thrown up. People outside could not see the situation inside clearly. Uchiha Itachi unknowingly appeared behind Jinbe again. This time Jinbe immediately noticed the person behind him, rolled like a donkey, and rolled out of the dust coverage in a mess. Jinbe, who was already fat, rolled on the ground like a ball, rolling out very funny. When the dust dispersed, everyone could see the situation inside clearly. Uchiha Itachi stood in the deep pit, as if he had never left, and Jinbe's fist was also punched lonely. What the hell kind of ability is this? It's not that he didn't use hockey, but he couldn't hit Uchiha Itachi, Jinbe asked in a broken voice. Uchiha Itachi rushed out of the deep pit without saying a word, 2 jumps soared into the sky, and then swooped down towards Jinbe. Impatience claw red, Uchiha Itachi, who was in the air, spit out a ball of flames from his mouth, and smashed at Jinbe with a shuriken inside. Plum blossom skin. Jinbe watched the fireballs falling from the sky, and he didn't dare to neglect. He covered armament hockey with his arms, and put his arms across his head to block the falling fireballs. Jingle. Bang 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 bang. The fireball hit Jinbe's arm, making the sound of weapons colliding, and fell to the ground, but it directly smashed the ground into deep holes. Uchiha Itachi, who was still in the air, saw that the fireball couldn't do anything to Jinbe, so he stepped on Jinbe fiercely. Jinbe wanted to run but it was too late, so he could only bite the bullet and continue to maintain the posture with his arms crossed above his head, trying to block Uchiha Itachi's attack. Boom. Rumbling. The place where the two collided produced circles of air waves, which spread in all directions, and spider webs appeared on the ground under Jinbe's feet, spreading rapidly towards the surroundings. After the two of them remained deadlocked for a while, Uchiha Itachi's other foot quickly turned black, and kicked Jinbe's chin with one kick. Boom. Rumbling. Since Jinbe was stepped on both arms, he had no way to hide or block, and was kicked and flew upside down and smashed into a house. Boom. The moment Uchiha Itachi landed, he rushed out again and plunged headlong into the dust that was kicked up. Jinbe was in the dust. 64,646 yen. The two started a fist-to-flesh collision in the dust, but one was hitting and the other was being beaten, because Jinbe had never met Uchiha Itachi before, and was being beaten the whole time. An hour later, Shirahoshi was taking Moran and others to visit the palace. After Moran came to the Dragon Palace, he suddenly said that he wanted to visit the palace, so Shirahoshi took them to visit. The visit was fake. Moran was just waiting for a few combat members to finish fighting, and then held a banquet together. Those few were still fighting hard. It would be inappropriate for them to eat first, so he just talked about it Li Jiao. A reason at all. Shirahoshi, who was leading the way, suddenly turned his head and said to Moran, Master Moran, let's go to the banquet first. If you still want to visit the palace later, Yuxing will show you around, okay? Moran shook his head and said, we have to wait until everyone else has arrived before we can start the banquet. Now that they haven't come, you should continue to show us around. Shirahoshi showed a pitiful little expression and said, but Shirahoshi is too hungry to walk. At this time, Robin also suggested, Captain, let's go there first and wait, it's the same. I guess they are almost fighting now. That's fine. Long live Lord Moran. Shirahoshi was still in a pitiful state just now, and now he was resurrected with full blood, and rushed to the front to celebrate. Chapter 209. The Furious Princess Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi led a group of people in front, and walked into the palace where the banquet was set up. There are all kinds of food and wine in the palace, and they can start at any time. Neptune sat on the throne, looked at the people who came in and greeted. Everyone, sit down first, and we can start when everyone is here. After Shirahoshi came in, he ran to Neptune's side, hugging Neptune's arm and shaking coquettishly, Father Shirahoshi is hungry, can you eat a little first? After Shirahoshi finished speaking, he stretched out a hand pitifully, gestured with his thumb and forefinger, indicating that he was only eating a little bit. Ha 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 hiccup. Shirahoshi's actions directly turned everyone's cuteness. Seeing such a cute Shirahoshi, everyone present showed happy smiles, and some even laughed out loud. Before Neptune could speak, Moran suppressed a smile and said to Shirahoshi, Little Shirahoshi, come to my place, and you can eat whatever I want. Really? Of course it's true. Thank you Lord Moran. After Shirahoshi thanked her, she twisted her fish tail and slowly came to Moran, turning into a dry mermaid. Shirahoshi was so hungry because she didn't even eat lunch, so she sneaked out to pick up Moran, she hasn't eaten anything for a day. From noon to the current night, she didn't eat anything for a whole day. For a mermaid like her who has never been hungry, it is already very good to be able to survive until now. Neptune originally wanted to scold Shirahoshi for eating before all the guests arrived, which is very impolite. But when Neptune saw Shirahoshi who was so hungry, his heart softened instantly. In addition, it was Moran who spoke, so he didn't blame Shirahoshi and directly ordered the chef to continue to add food. What followed was a long wait. 2s and 3s in the palace gathered and chatted, and Moran was teasing Shirahoshi, having a great time. Shirahoshi stopped suddenly, glared at Moran angrily and said, Master Moran, please don't poke Shirahoshi's cheek, otherwise Shirahoshi won't be able to eat properly. Shirahoshi's cheeks bulged on both sides when he ate, and Moran couldn't help but poke it when he saw it, it's so cute. Moran is having a great time, but Shirahoshi is all kinds of spitting, and Moran pokes her and wants to squirt once. Shirahoshi had no choice but to stop, staring at Moran angrily with his big kawaii eyes. Moran raised his hands and promised with embarrassment, Shirahoshi, you continue to eat, and I will never disturb you to eat again, okay? But Shirahoshi said angrily, Master Moran is so hateful, you have said this 3 times, you are deceiving Shirahoshi, Shirahoshi will never believe you again. Ha 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 hiccup, Shirahoshi, you are so cute. All the people sitting in the palace burst into laughter. Shirahoshi, don't bother with that bad guy, come over to my sister's place to eat. Robin looked at Shirahoshi's aggrieved and angry expression, and invited Shirahoshi a little bit reluctantly. Thank you Sister Robin. Shirahoshi twisted her pink fishtail again, and slowly floated towards Robin. He was a mermaid floating in midair with an air bubble on his body, and it was very inconvenient to move on land. At this time, the battle was over, and several combat members and Jinbe were slowly rushing towards the Dragon Palace. After Shirahoshi ran to Robin's side, Moran suddenly became bored. Just when he wanted to go up to tease Shirahoshi, the tornado came to him. When tornado came to him, he burrowed directly into his arms, buried his whole body in his arms, and thanked, Moran, thank you for bringing Fubuki here. Moran lowered his head with a smirk on his face, looked at the tornado in his arms and asked, it took me so much effort to get Fubuki here, so you just thank me, don't you have any other rewards? Bobo. Tornado raised his head and gave a smack, then quickly lowered his head shyly, and buried his whole head in Moran's arms. This is your reward, Tornado. That's it. That's it. Hearing Moran and his dissatisfied voice, Tornado raised his head angrily, glared at Moran and asked, what else do you want? As if he couldn't see her being angry, Moran said to himself, look at the tornado, Fubuki is not young. Ask for flowers. Before Moran finished speaking, Long Wan yelled angrily when he heard half of it, don't even think about it. My old lady has been here for so long, and it hasn't been her turn until now, why should she give priority to Fubuki? This lecherous guy is also really, my mother is such a big beauty, she is not tempted to be around every day. Just a few days after her sister came here, this guy wanted to trick her sister, could it be that the old lady is not good looking? Long Wan cursed inwardly. What's wrong with you, Tornado? Everyone who heard Tornado's roar cast doubtful glances one after another, aiming back and forth at Moran and Tornado. Moran touched his nose in embarrassment when he saw through his small thoughts, and when he heard everyone's questioning, he quickly came out and explained. It's okay, you talk about yours, I'm just playing with the tornado. Everyone withdrew their gazes half-believingly. Although everyone didn't believe this explanation, Moran and Tornado didn't say anything, so they couldn't help it. After calming everyone down, Moran looked at the tornado in his arms and asked softly, is there really nothing to discuss? Tornado glared at Moran, gritted his teeth and refused, I'm older than Fubuki, I don't worry about her, let alone her. So put away your petty thoughts. He wanted to ask Tornado to help him attack Fushui. The girl who just came here relied on him as a straight man, so it was really difficult to attack Fushui. In fact, Moran is also aware of the small tornado, just looking at the small tornado, he really can't do it. The system's good opinion of you is fake. Unable to figure it out, Moran went directly to the system to settle accounts. The summoned characters retain all their personalities, memories, and abilities. The system just changes their favorability towards the host. Don't you, host, like characters who don't have their own thoughts? Hearing the system's explanation, Moran thought of that kind of character without thought, like a marionette, and he felt uninterested just thinking about it. He still likes this kind of living person, although the strategy is a bit difficult, but he also enjoys it. Chapter 210. Jinbe with the beaten nose and swollen face. Host, if you like that kind of character, the system can also change them to that. Do you want to change it, host? I like the characters in the system very much, don't make decisions on your own. Hearing the words of the system, Moran became impatient, why would he want such a mindless character? Like a marionette, he doesn't even have feelings, and he doesn't want this kind of character for nothing, but this kind of living person is delicious after all. Da da da, da da da. At this time, there was a sound of footsteps outside the door, and everyone turned their heads to look at the door. It turned out that it was several combat members and Jinbe who finally rushed over after fighting. The others didn't change much, but Jinbe was originally a fat man, and now he can't even see his eyes after being beaten up, his nose is bruised and his face is swollen, which is very funny. Seeing Jinbe with a bruised nose and swollen face, Moran asked hypocritically, what's the matter with you, Fat Blue? It's just a sparring session. How could you be beaten like this? Then he looked at several fighting members, and reprimanded hypocritically, he is just looking for you to discuss, and you beat him like this. Jinbe stopped and glanced at Moran, then continued to walk towards his position, directly ignoring Cao Lan. He challenged the Wanjian pirates with a purpose, and his purpose has been achieved, so there is no need for him to be angry. Uchiha Itachi explained with a blank face. Master Moran, he beat himself up by himself, and it's none of our business. What Uchiha Itachi said was also true, he used illusion all the time behind, letting Jinbe hit himself, and the few of them were watching from the sidelines, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to fight Jinbe for so long. The Murlocs who were watching the battle just now suspected that Jinbe had lost his mind, so he beat himself. Now the Fishman Island is discussing whether Jinbe has really lost his mind. When he just walked back, Jinbe heard the news, and almost couldn't bear it. After Neptune saw that everyone was here, he said directly, since everyone is here, let's start. Then I'll start. After everyone greeted, they all turned into rice cookers. At this moment, Moran suddenly remembered something, looked in Jinbe's direction and asked, hey. Fatty Blue, do you still remember what we said before the competition? Crackling. Bang. Jinbe, who was eating, froze his hands in midair, turned his stiff neck to look at Moran, saw that he didn't seem to be joking, and then replied, of course I remember, if you lose, you will join your Wanjian pirates. This old man will never break his promise. What Moran said during the sparring, he thought it was just a joke, but he didn't expect that this guy really wanted to subdue him. But that's good too, the Fishman Island will be his territory in the future, and joining the Wanjian pirates is also a good choice. Seeing that he was not cheating, Moran went on to say, from now on, your Sun Pirates will be the 5th team of our Wanjian pirates. Jinbe, you are the captain. As for how to distribute the people under your command, you decide on your own. It is good. Jinbe stood up and held up the wine in his hand, bent down and said to Moran, I represent the Sun Pirates to join the Wanjian pirates, and please take care of Captain Cao Lan from now on. After Jinbe finished his toast and sat down, he continued to ask, Captain Moran, will I follow you from now on, or move freely? After handing over the Fishman Island to the Whitebeard pirates, you will be stationed on the Fishman Island. From now on, the Fishman Island will be the residence of your Sun Pirates. Jinbe didn't expect the surprise to come so suddenly. He didn't expect Moran to hand over the Fishman Island to them for management, so he quickly stood up and thanked him. Thank you so much Captain Moran, I will definitely give you the Fishman Island well managed. There is no need to say thank you. If you do not manage well in the future, I will change people at any time. You must be mentally prepared. Please rest assured, I will be able to manage the Fishman Island well. Moran decided to subdue the Sun Pirates just because he wanted him to manage the Fishman Island. They are all Murlocs from the Fishman Island. They would try their best to manage the Fishman Island well without Moran looking at them. This kills two birds with one stone. Thing. According to Moran's requirements for the fan team, the Sun Pirates did not meet his requirements, because Jinbe was the only one who could fight the Sun Pirates, and the others were small shrimps, but he decided to take them in because of the Fishman Island. After the banquet, Moran called everyone together for a meeting. Moran looked at the people in front of him and said, I called you over to talk about the next thing. We're going to New World tomorrow, So Jinbe will be in charge of the handover of the Fishman Island, right? Jinbe. No problem, Captain Moran. Barbara. That's about it. If there is no problem, everyone go back and rest. After Moran explained a lot of things, he asked everyone to go back to rest. In fact, there was nothing, mainly the problem of the Fishman Island, and the problem that Whitebeard was going to give them half of the 10,000 Swords Pirates territory. I am the dividing line of all evil. The next day the Fishman Island port. The Wanjian pirates are getting ready to go, and everyone has returned to the ship, saying goodbye to the people from the Fishman Island. Moran looked at Shirahoshi lying on the railing, and persuaded, "Little Shirahoshi, be good, next time I'm taking you to the sea, okay, I really can't take you this time." 933 Since Moran last night after telling her the story of the sea, Shirahoshi has been clamoring to go to the sea with him to watch the sun, and now he just lies on the railing and refuses to come down. Shirahoshi pouted and still didn't want to give up, showing a pitiful look and disgust. "Master Moran, just take me up to take a look." After taking a look, Shirahoshi came back. "What's the danger?" Seeing that Moran was not persuaded, he directly said with a straight face, "Little Shirahoshi, if you are still disobedient, don't say that I won't take you up this time, and I won't take you up in the future." 11. Seeing Moran's straight face, Shirahoshi shrank his neck in fear. Although he was afraid, he still asked, "Then, Master Moran, when will you come to the Fishman Island again?" Moran said flickeringly, "Little Shirahoshi, just wait obediently at the Fishman Island, we will come again in a short time, and then we can take you up to see the sun." Shirahoshi will wait obediently, but Master Moran, you can't go too long. "Don't worry, no." After receiving a satisfactory answer, Shirahoshi reluctantly left Moran's boat. She had just been holding on to Moran's boat to prevent them from leaving. Seeing that Shirahoshi finally left, Moran hurriedly ordered, "Robin sail." It's the captain. Moran finally got his wish and embarked on a journey to the New World. Chapter 211. The Iron Pirates waiting at the New World entrance. Near the entrance of New World, a pirate ship was parked on the sea level, as if quietly waiting for someone. Lu Shoei Golmud was a little bored waiting, looked at the man standing at the bow and asked, "Captain Aksu, why do you think Captain Moran asked us to come and wait for him?" Aksu said without turning his head, "I guess Captain Moran is going to make some big moves when he returns to New World this time." They are the Iron Pirates, the first team that Moran took over in New World, the Captain Aksu, the Paramesha Iron Fruit-capable person, and the bounty of 870 million Baileys. They received a call from Moran a few days ago, asking them to wait at the entrance of New World, so the members of the Iron Pirates rushed here from the depths of New World without saying a word. Waiting for the arrival of the Wanjian pirates. A pirate on the boat guessed, "Captain Aksu, you said Captain Moran, is he going to take us to attack the other 5 emperors?" Aksu thought for a while and replied, "It's really possible. After all, among the 5 emperors in New World, our Captain Moran has the least territory. It is reasonable to attack other emperors to grab territory." Lu Shoei Golmud. "Captain Aksu, which sea emperor do you think Captain Moran will take us to attack?" Captain Moran's mind is beyond our ability to guess, but if I were to choose one, then I would definitely choose BIGMOM pirates. "Captain Aksu, I think you want to take revenge." Ha 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 hiccup. The pirates on the boat couldn't help laughing. They knew why Aksu wanted to attack the BIGMOM pirates, and they were probably still brooding about the last time they were caught. Aksu looked at the laughing men on the boat, and shouted angrily, "I just want to take revenge, so what? Are you laughing?" Ha 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 hiccup. Careful Captain Aksu. That's right, Captain Aksu is too vengeful, right? You bastards. Aksu's exasperation not only did not stop the people on the boat, but also ushered in even more unscrupulous ridicule. After a long time, the ship finally calmed down. After quieting down, a pirate asked worriedly, "Captain Aksu, the other 5 emperors have tens of thousands of followers, while our Wanjian big ship, CBAB, group has only a few pirate groups. Can we beat the other emperors?" Snapped. Aksu slapped him on the head directly, and explained angrily, "The last time Captain Moran fought the BIGMOM pirates, they had tens of thousands of people, and it turned out that Big Mom was beaten into a bare-handed commander by Captain Moran. There is nothing to be afraid of the other 5 emperors, in front of our Captain Moran, they are all younger brothers. Captain Aksu, the Wanjian pirates led by Captain Moran, are they really as powerful as you say?" They have been listening to Aksu say how powerful the Wanjian pirates are, but they were not there in the last World War, so they have never had a specific concept. Let me tell you this, not to mention just one of the 5 emperors, even if 2 come together, Captain Moran can lead the Wanjian pirates and smash them to pieces. People who have never seen the Wanjian pirates take a shot, tell them too much and they can't understand, Aksu can only explain in this way. What? It turns out that the Wanjian pirates led by Captain Moran are actually so powerful. Hearing Aksu's analogy, they finally had a concrete concept this time, that is, the Wanjian pirates led by Moran are stronger than the other 4-5 emperors, powerful enough to fight against 2 5 emperors pirates at the same time. Moran defeated the BIGMOM pirates in a crushing way. If Wanjian pirates could not beat the other 5 emperors, Aksu was the first to refuse. When Moran went to Wangguo to rescue him, Aksu guessed that at least half of the people in the Wanjian pirates did not use their full strength, so let alone a 5 emperors, even if 2 Wanjian pirates came not cowardly. Let me explain here. Moran did not let the members of the ship be the captains, but let the captains of the pirates under his banner be the captains, so the pirates under his banner are both captains and captains. Their crew members are used to being called captains, so they always called the captain. Bump. The people on the Iron Pirates ship were still marveling at the strength of the Wanjian pirates. Not far from them, a pirate ship suddenly rushed out of the sea. It shattered with a bang, and the ship quickly fell back into the sea. Boom. The pirate ship fell and hit the sea level, kicking up a large piece of sea water. The ship finally stabilized after connecting to Jadao on the sea surface for a while. One of the pirates on the Iron Pirates took a look through the binoculars and said to Aksu, "Captain Aksu, that's Captain Moran's ship. Shall we go there?" Hearing this, Aksu shouted without thinking, "Little ones, come over and welcome our Captain Moran back to the New World." It's Captain Aksu. Just as the ship on Moran's side stabilized, Van Oka on the lookout spotted the approaching pirate ship and asked Moran, "The captain has a pirate ship approaching us. Are you going to attack them?" A red light flashed in Moran's eyes, and he swept over with a sense of knowledge, and stopped him after knowing who it was. "It's Aksu and the others, our first team, let them approach." After Aksu waited for the ship to approach, he greeted Moran happily. "Captain Moran welcomes you back to New World. We have prepared a welcome banquet, and we can hold the banquet as soon as you arrive." When Moran heard that Aksu had prepared the banquet, he immediately praised with a smile. "Aksu, you are quite sensible." "Aksu. Captain Moran, don't say that. If you didn't go to the world to save me last time, I would have died by now, so I should prepare a banquet for you." Moran was not being polite to him either. He turned his head and said, "Fan Oka, you drop the anchor, and then we go to Aksu's boat to have a banquet." It's the captain. Moran brought everyone to Aksu's boat for a banquet. They were hungry after a day at the bottom of the sea. Although there was food on the boat, it was cold. There was no way to cook hot food on the bottom of the sea. Chapter 212. Robin who overturned the vinegar jar. After the banquet, Moran called everyone together for a meeting. The entire deck was full of people, including Aksu's crew. After seeing that everyone is here, Moran said, "Because I want to take over the territory of the Whitebeard pirates, I decided to divide the army into two groups." Moran looked at several combat members and asked, "I originally wanted Aksu and the others to accept them, but I was worried that they would not be able to control the scene, so any of you who want to go out for a stroll, please stand up." Acedus asked, "Moran, how many people do you want to send to take over the territory of the Whitebeard pirates?" Moran thought for a while before answering, "It's enough to go to one combat member. Our other two teams in New World are rushing over here now, so Song needs to go to a combat member to guard the field." 9-8. Then Shiyu Zebo Madara stood up and said, "Master Moran takes over the Whitebeard pirates' territory, let me do it." Moran looked at Uchiha Madara who was full of expectation, and said angrily, "You want to go out and fight with the strong." Moran looked at Uchiha Madara and lowered his head, and continued, "You can go, but don't just focus on fighting. If you don't do well in taking over the territory, you won't even think about going out alone in the future." Moran actually intended to let him out. After all, fame is not gained by publicity, but by playing, so it was just right to let this guy out. Uchiha Madara directly assured, "Master Moran, don't worry, if you don't do well, I will come to see you." 17. Moran looked at Aksu and said, "For a while after Aksu, you and the other two teams will cooperate with Uchiha Madara to take over the territory of the Whitebeard pirates. Let other things go first." "I see Captain Moran." After Moran saw that the conversation was almost finished, he ordered, "Uchiha Madara, you stay here. After the other two teams arrive, you take them to take over the territory. The rest of the people come back to the boat with me. We will wait for you. We're about to set sail." It's the captain. Everyone returned to the boat one after another, and when Moran saw that everyone had arrived, he directly ordered, "Little ones, let's set sail." It's the captain. The people on the boat started to get busy, and the boat got farther and farther away from the original place, sailing towards the depths of the New World. After sailing for a certain distance, the ship has stabilized, and no one needs to watch it all the time. After Acedus was free, he came to Moran and asked, "Moran, why don't you let me take over the territory, but let Uchiha Madara do it instead?" She wanted to ask Moran just now, but she never had the chance to ask. Now that she was free, she couldn't help but want to ask Moran. Moran looked at her affectionately, approached her and whispered in his ear, "Of course I don't want you to leave. This time, I won't be able to come back after a year or so. Are you willing to leave me for so long?" Moran suddenly got so close, which startled her. He blushed a little when he heard his words, and after a while, he whispered, "I'll go find you for a fight tonight." Da da da. After finishing speaking, Acedus blushed and left the deck as if fleeing, and disappeared in a flash. Did Fushui see that this guy is saying unhealthy things again, and ran away from what Acedus said, and you should stay away from this guy in the future, do you understand? Tornado floated beside Fushui, looking in Moran's direction, quietly said to Fubuki. Although the words were whispered, how could a person of Moran's strength not hear them? Not only could he hear them, but he could hear them clearly. In order to prevent Moran from attacking Fuyuki, this little girl named Tornado has been talking bad things about Moran to Fuyuki every day. She really does everything she can. But with the favorability level there, how could Moran be afraid of him saying bad things? At most it would just take some time. Thinking of this, Moda went to the recliner, lay down directly, closed his eyes and shouted, "Kui Shui, come here and give me a shoulder squeeze." Coming. After Fushui responded, she threw down the tornado without even thinking about it, leaving her in a mess in the wind. "You damn Moran, I'll make you look good sooner or later." Seeing Fushui drop her directly and run to squeeze Moran's shoulders, Tornado felt his teeth itch with hatred, but there was nothing he could do, he could only sulk there by himself. At this time Robin walked to Moran, saw Fubuki pinching Moran's shoulders, rolled his eyes and asked sourly, "Captain, where are we going now?" Moran opened his eyes and glanced at Robin, and teased, "Hey. Why does it have a sour smell? Whose vinegar jar has been knocked over?" Hey. Robin, let me go, are you trying to murder your husband?" A hand suddenly appeared around Moran's waist, pinching the soft flesh on his waist, and Moran yelled in pain. Of course, this is just Moran cooperating with her. This level of pinching has no effect at all, and the real situation is painless. Moran looked at Robin in surprise. He didn't expect that Yuji would be jealous. This was the first time he saw Robin jealous. Robin asked again angrily, "What are you looking at? Where are you going? Hurry up and tell me, I still have a lot of things to do." Moran came back to his senses and said, "Let's go to the kingdom of Dressrosa, which is the lair of Doflamingo." Humph. After getting the answer, Robin snorted awkwardly, turned around, and walked back to the room with his waist twisted. Moran looked at the overturned Robin, and said to himself inexplicably, "What kind of jealousy does this little girl eat?" Fubuki lowered his head to look at the straight man of steel, and reminded him amusedly, "Master Moran, Sister Robin is jealous, it must be because I stole her position. Can you eat 1.1 vinegar? Because this is the only time she spends alone with you on the boat, and now that I have snatched her away, she spends less and less time alone with you, so no matter how sensible a person is, there will be emotions too." Moran raised his head and looked at Fubuki, and said in surprise, "Why didn't I realize that you were so smart?" Fubuki rolled his eyes speechlessly. "What kind of cleverness is this? It's because you are too straight, okay." After Moran stood up, he said to Fubuki, "It's getting late, Fuyuki, you should go back to rest earlier." After finishing speaking, Moran went to Robin's room. Now the backyard is on fire, and she has to fight the fire. Fushui looked up and saw Father Sun hanging high in the sky, with question marks all over his face. Is it getting late? Chapter 213. Arrival Dressrosa. A few days later, New World, near Dressrosa. On the sea level, the Wanjian pirates are sailing slowly. A group of seagulls quacked and flew across the sky. Moran lay leisurely on the deck chair, basking in the sun with salted fish, next to Robin and Chitong, who were massaging and feeding him. Robin passed by Moran in the past few days, even if he coaxed and lied, he was not jealous, it was just that he had worked so hard these few days. "Master Moran, why are we going to Dressrosa? Isn't that the territory of Doflamingo?" Chitong asked while peeling grapes and feeding them to Moran. Moran said with a righteous face, "There is a girl over there, waiting for me to rescue her." Robin next to him rolled his eyes, and said angrily, "You have taken a fancy to her, that's why you came all the way here, trying to take her into your harem." Ha 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 ha. Robin's words successfully made Chitong laugh. Chitong covered her mouth and snickered, letting out a burst of laughter like silver bells. Moran explained helplessly. Doflamingo turned half of the people in the Dressrosa kingdom into toys, and the people who turned into toys were all people who rebelled against him, blah blah, a lot. After finishing the information, Moran said hypocritically, "Since none of you want to go, then turn around now and let's go somewhere else." Although Robin is right, how could he admit it, so he is now the righteous Captain Moran, who wants to destroy the evil Doflamingo. He went to Dressrosa for two purposes, partly because of his sister, and partly because of this territory. He wanted to knock down Dressrosa and make it his own territory. Moran said so much information about Dressrosa, just to let Chitong, a girl with an overwhelming sense of justice, stand up and agree with him to go to Dressrosa. Sure enough, Chitong heard such a dark Dressrosa, and immediately couldn't help but said to Moran, "Master Moran, let's go help them." Moran sighed hypocritically again. "Hey, Chitong is not because I don't want to promise you, but because someone doesn't want me to go." Robin looked at Moran's fake acting skills, of course she knew what this guy wanted to do, but she didn't object to Moran accepting other women. But now the people on the boat have not been completely settled, and Moran is still messing around outside, so she couldn't help but say something just now. Robin looked at Moran and said angrily, "I didn't say I wouldn't let you go, but before you want to do something, shouldn't you think about the sisters on the boat?" Moran touched his nose in embarrassment, those on the boat were a bit difficult, otherwise he wouldn't have dragged it so far. "Captain, I see the island, but I don't know if it's Dressrosa," Van Oka said standing on the lookout platform. Van Oka's voice sounded just in time to relieve the embarrassed Moran. Moran stood up and took a look at the railing, and said with a happy smile, "We've been sailing at sea for several days, no matter if it's Dressrosa or not, Van Oka just lean over to me." Understood the captain. Moran may not recognize other islands, but how could he not recognize this island with a large number of mushroom rocks on the nearby coast? After the boat approached the island, Robin looked at Moran suspiciously and asked, "This island is Dressrosa, Captain, did you already know about this island?" Seeing such a positive Moran, she had reason to suspect that this guy knew about this island. If she hadn't followed Moran before he came to New World, she would have suspected that Moran had been here. How could Moran admit it, and said nonsense directly? "You have been with me for so long, have you seen me come here?" Anyway, Robin will never understand, what is God's perspective, the time traveler is such a raw batch. Robin showed an expression of "I believe you," but she saw that Moran didn't mean to say anything, so she didn't continue to ask. Kai Tong also came to Moran's side, looked at the island not far away, and asked with a solemn face. Master Moran, you just said that the kingdom of Dressrosa, where half of the people were turned into toys, is located on this island. Up. Seeing Chitong's serious face, Moran joked directly. Hey, I don't know who said that they will not care about these dark things when they first came here. Let me think about who said that. Chitong raised his small fist and hammered at Moran, and said angrily, Master Moran, you are making fun of me again, I'm just. When she first came here, she did say that she would never take care of these dark things in the future, but she still couldn't help it when she saw these things. Moran looked at Chitong who couldn't explain clearly, rubbed her little head and said, well, don't need to explain so much, if you want to do something, just do it. Really? Of course it's true, when have I lied to you? Thank you Lord Moran. Chirp. Chitong leaned forward excitedly, smacked Moran's face, and quickly lowered his head shyly. Moran looked at this little girl a little amusedly, she was already an old couple, but she was still so shy. When the ship approached the port, Moran ordered, everyone get ready, we will land in Dressrosa. It's the captain. That's Dragon Emperor Moran's ship, why did the Wanjian pirates come here? They just came back from the Summit War. We are so close to the entrance of New World, I think they should pass by here. Okay, I hope I'm just passing by here, not here to plunder. People around the port and pirates saw Moran's ship approaching the port, and they all looked over. For a while, people in the entire port were guessing what they were here for. Some even directly prayed, hoping that the Wanjian pirates did not come to plunder Dressrosa. Buffalo is a cadre of the Don Quixote pirates. He was also in the crowd at this time. Seeing Moran's ship approaching, he took out a phone bug and called. Boo boo boo, boo boo. Caw sauce, foo 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 foo. As soon as the phone bug was connected, a unique laugh came out of the phone bug's mouth. After the laughter, Doflamingo's voice came out and asked, did you call Pharaoh? Chapter 214, Rebecca and the Toy Soldiers. At this time, inside the kingdom of Dressrosa, in the highest room of the bullfighting arena, Doflamingo sat on a chair with a phone bug in his hand, watching the arena in progress below. Doflamingo went to the Summit War alone, so when he came back, he turned directly from the Red Line and returned to New World earlier than everyone else. At this time, Buffalo's voice came from the phone bug and said, young master, I am near the port and saw the Dragon Emperor Moran coming here. Now they have landed in Dressrosa. I don't know what they are here. Moran that B*********** D is here, what is he trying to do? He wouldn't want to blackmail me again, would he? The Summit War has just ended, he may just pass by here, but he is afraid that this guy will come over to blackmail him on a whim. This guy does things as he pleases, he is really capable of this kind of thing. Thinking of this, Doflamingo directly ordered to Buffalo, go and pass on my order. Don Quixote family members, don't go near this guy. If anyone dares to get close to this guy, I'll kill him right away, understand? I understand, young master. I can afford to hide, he doesn't want to see Moran at all now, it's okay to be too strong, but also so shameless, whoever meets this guy is unlucky. Doflamingo thought secretly in his heart. However, what Doflamingo didn't know was that Moran came to Dressrosa this time to trouble him, and it was useless for him to hide. The cadre, Diamante who was sitting next to Doflamingo asked, is that guy in Dover really that scary? Doflamingo replied with a dark face, this guy is not only scary, but also very shameless. Anyone who touches him will be unlucky. Hearing this, Diamante stood up and said, then I will help to inform too. Buffalo may not be able to notify alone. Seeing Diamante walking out, Doflamingo said to himself, what is the purpose of this B******** D coming here? However, no one could answer his question, the whole room returned to calm, and Doflamingo was thinking with a gloomy face. That's Dragon Emperor Moran, the 5th Emperor of New World, what are they doing here? It's really them. The people who just came from the port told me that I still don't believe it. I didn't expect them to come here. It looks like they are just passing by, and they don't seem to be making trouble. Even if it's not causing trouble, let's get out of here quickly. That's right, getting involved with them will not be a good thing, so let's get out of here quickly. At this time, Moran was already leading the crowd, walking on the streets of Dressrosa. Among the pedestrians coming and going, there were not only people but also various toys, and these toys were all alive. Moran heard the people around them whispering about their group, and suddenly felt helpless. Sometimes being too famous is not a good thing, no matter where you go, there are people pointing and talking. Chitong looked at the toys around him, remembered what Moran said, and asked solemnly, Master Moran, are they really real people? It is really hard for her to imagine that a living person becomes a toy, and now the streets are full of toys, how many people must there be? Moran's face was also a bit ugly, although he is not a good person, but he would never do such a thing. Hearing Chitong's question, Moran explained, the toys you see are all living people. After these people become toys, no one will remember them, even relatives will forget them completely. Net. Chitong suddenly stopped, and asked suspiciously, how did Doflamingo turn them all into toys? This is when Robin interjected to explain, if I'm not mistaken, the reason why they are like this should be because of demon fruit power. Moran took the words and explained, that's right, they were turned into this by a childlike fruit-capable person. The person who possesses this ability is a girl who only looks 5 or 6 years old, but her real age is in her 20s. This devil fruit person will stay as old as when she ate devil fruit. Speaking of this, Moran reminded. Don't be touched by this childish fruit ability called Granos, as long as anyone touched by her will become a toy, and we will not remember the person who was turned into a toy. Quote. Asking for flowers. Robin looked at Moran with a weird face and asked. Since the captain is turned into a toy, no one will remember it, so how do you know so much? Not only does he know this ability, he even knows who the capable person is, and he knows it so clearly. Sometimes Robin really doesn't understand, how did Moran know this information? Moran started talking nonsense directly. Just think of me as an omniscient god, there is nothing in this world that I don't know. Cut. Moran's words successfully received disdainful voices from everyone. They would not believe Moran's nonsense, they would rather believe that sows can climb trees. Ho 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 ho. What's that sound? When everyone heard the sudden roar, they all looked at Moran in doubt, hoping that he could explain what was going on. Moran looked at the place where the sound came from and explained. That is the arena of the kingdom of Dressrosa. There are many sword fighters fighting in it, and the roar just now came from the people in the auditorium. Hearing the duel, Acedus looked at Moran expectantly and said, Moran, I want to visit this arena, is it possible? Go if you want. After Moran replied to Acedus, he looked at the others and said, you too, if you want to go, go. It's the captain. At this time, a girl with long pink hair and a green cloak walked towards Moran and the others. Beside the girl with long pink hair was a toy soldier with only one leg. He was talking to the girl right now, making the girl laugh out loud. Moran had already seen the girl and the toy soldier walking towards him, and recognized who they were. When the girl and the toy soldier were about to walk past Moran, Moran suddenly said, Cyrus, come and talk to me. Chapter 215. Moran fooled the little lowly Rebecca. Cyrus was making fun of Rebecca. When Moran called his name, the whole toy soldier froze in place. Who is this guy? How do you know my name? Haven't I been forgotten by everyone? When Cyrus raised his head to see Moran's appearance clearly, his eyes widened in shock and he opened his mouth wide and stammered and asked, are you the Dragon Emperor Moran? He often reads newspapers, how could he not recognize the man in front of him, the captain of the Wanjian pirates, the 5th Emperor of New World, Dragon Emperor Moran? Rebecca looked at Cyrus who had stopped, lowered her head and asked suspiciously, Mr. Soldier, are they your friends? Cyrus didn't answer Rebecca, but protected her behind him, stared at Moran and asked, why do you come here? Not only do you know me, but you can still remember me, how did you do it? Moran looked at Cyrus who was protecting Rebecca behind him, and said with a speechless expression, are you sure you want to talk to me here? 21. Moran looked at Cyrus who was still on guard, and explained helplessly, don't worry, I don't mean to hurt you, and you should know us, if I want to do something, you think you can stop at me. Cyrus thought for a while and felt that Moran was right. He glanced at the crowded streets and felt that it was inappropriate to speak here, so he invited, come with me, I will take you to my house, sit down. After finishing speaking, Cyrus led the way, and walked slowly towards his house, which was actually Rebecca's house, and the two of them had always depended on each other for life. Moran told everyone around him, I have something to do with this toy soldier, if you want to see the arena, go and see it. Long live the captain. Acedus took the lead and walked towards the arena, and the others followed one after another, leaving only one red pupil in place. Moran looked at Chitong who was standing there, and asked a little puzzled. Everyone else went to the arena to watch the sword fighters duel, why didn't you go with them? Chitong glanced in the direction of the arena, although she also wanted to watch the fun, but she couldn't go now, because there was no one around Moran, and she was worried that Moran would be alone in the enemy's territory, so she stayed. Chitong explained to Moran, I don't worry about you being here alone, I want to stay and protect your safety. Silly girl. Moran touched her little head touched, so he didn't try to persuade her, even Tien Tu Niu couldn't pull back what Chitong decided. Then you go with me. After Moran finished speaking, he caught up with Cyrus who had already walked a certain distance, and the red pupil behind him also showed a smile and followed Moran's footsteps. At this time, Rebecca was only 14 years old, and she was not a prisoner sword fighter in the future, nor was she trapped in the arena. Now she is still a cute little loli. Seeing that Cyrus hadn't answered her question, Rebecca chased after her and asked again, Mr. Soldier, you haven't told me yet, are they your friends? Moran didn't wait for Cyrus to speak, he came to Rebecca's side, touched her little head and said foolishly, I'm not Mr. Soldier's friend, but I'm yours male. Friend. Rebecca shook her little head, shook off Moran's mischievous big hand, then raised her head and pouted, Big brother, you're lying, I've never met you, how can you be my friend? Quote. Seeing that she wasn't fooled, Moran continued to fool around, I'm your future boyfriend, so I said, I'm your friend, is there a problem? Rebecca was buzzing in Moran's little head, shook her head, as if she wanted to throw out the mess, and then asked Cyrus, Mr. Soldier, what did the big brother say? What kind of friend is a boyfriend? Cyrus didn't answer her question, but stared at Moran with a pair of cannibalistic eyes. She didn't expect that a majestic new world pirate emperor would actually take advantage of a little girl. As if he didn't see Cyrus' cannibalistic gaze, Moran explained to Rebecca, a boyfriend means that you will marry a boyfriend when you grow up, and I will be your boyfriend, so you will grow up in the future. When you grow up, you will marry me. Cyrus pulled the corner of Rebecca's cloak and led her away from Moran before explaining to her, this guy is joking with you, don't believe what he said. Cyrus dare not speak out now. The Dragon Emperor Moran can't afford to offend him, so he can only try his best not to let Rebecca have too much contact with Moran. Rebecca felt Cyrus' suppressed anger and angry tone, showing a little scared expression. She lowered her head and didn't dare to ask any more questions. Moran looked at the father and daughter walking in front. I am afraid that one of his goals will not be achieved this time. He actually forgot that Rebecca is only 14 years old now. Just a little girl. Should I let him play for a while? There is already a little loli on board. Think about it or forget it. 440. Swipe a wave of favorability first, and come back in 2 years. At this time, Cyrus had brought everyone to their home. It might not be appropriate to say that it was a home. This place had already left the bustling town, and the surrounding area was sparsely populated, with only one small wooden house. Cyrus stopped at the door of the cabin, turned around and looked at Moran and said, "No one usually comes here, so you can talk to me now if you want to talk to me." Cyrus had no intention of inviting them into the house at all, and just stood at the door of the cabin and looked at Moran. Moran looked at Cyrus, who wanted to guard against him like a wolf, and thought secretly in his heart, "Lousy will get your little padded jacket sooner or later. Want to guard against Lousy? Can you, old man, be able to guard against him? Master Moran's toy soldier is talking to you." Seeing that Moran has been silent, Kai Tong gently pushed his shoulder and said. Moran came back to his senses, looked at Cyrus and said, "From your reaction just now, you should know what I do, so I won't introduce more." After seeing Cyrus nodded, Moran went on to say, "I intend to make Dressrosa my territory, but for the time being, I don't have anyone to take over here, so do you know where King Liku is now?" Chapter 216. Rebecca is my wife in the future. When Cyrus heard Moran's inquiry about King Liku, he asked anxiously, "Do you mean that King Liku is not dead?" Since Doflamingo came to the kingdom of Dressrosa and used a conspiracy to seize the throne, he has never seen King Liku again, and there is no news about King Liku. He thought that King Liku was dead, but now it seems not dead yet. Moran didn't think his tone seemed fake. He was probably a fool, and he didn't know the whereabouts of King Liku, so it was a waste of time to spend half a day on it. He remembered that at the beginning of the plot, King Liku was in the arena. He didn't know if he was there now. He will find it by himself later. Thinking of this, Moran lost interest in Cyrus. He didn't know anything about it. He was just a toy soldier, and it was a waste of time to talk to him. Chatong, let's go. Moran turned around and walked back after saying a word. He was going to see the arena and meet other people by the way. Chatong followed Moran's footsteps without saying a word. Wait, please tell me, King Riku, is he dead or not? Seeing that the two of Moran were about to leave, Cyrus hurriedly ran to Moran and blocked their way. Step aside. Moran's eyes flashed red, and the conqueror's hockey pressed towards Cyrus in a circle, with all the momentum on Cyrus. According to Cyrus' attitude towards him just now, the biggest resistance to attacking Rebecca in the future is probably this unlucky guy, so Moran won't give him a good look. If he has no reason to do it, he wants to beat Cyrus. What a meal. Cyrus felt the pressure of mountains and rivers. The whole body of the toy soldier couldn't bear it, and made a crackling sound, as if it might fall apart at any time. Cyrus was under the pressure. Even though his body was about to fall apart, he didn't intend to get out of the way, but bit the bullet and continued to ask, "Dear Lord Dragon Emperor, please tell me the news about King Liku." Rebecca, who didn't know why, heard the voice coming from the toy soldier, and asked with concern, "Mr. Nianxian, are you okay?" "I'm fine, Rebecca. You go aside first and don't approach me." Cyrus pushed Rebecca away so that she would not be affected, and then looked at Moran again, showing a pair of begging eyes. Moran looked at Rebecca's worried face, took back the conqueror's hockey and said, "For Rebecca's sake, I'll tell you. King Riku isn't dead, but he's in hiding." Hearing the news, Cyrus relaxed his tense nerves, and asked with doubts, "Master Dragon Emperor, why do you know us so well?" After a pause, he asked again, "I've watched Rebecca grow up, and I'm sure neither she nor I have ever met you, let alone known you." Moran raised his head and looked up at the sky, revealing a look of reminiscence, and started to flicker. "Dafa, I am demon fruit power. My ability is quite special. I can know the past and the future. In the future, Rebecca is my wife, so although I have never been here, but I know you guys very well." What? Cyrus didn't believe it at first, but thinking of all the signs after Moran met him, Moran shouldn't have to lie to him. And now in the whole world, apart from the girl who turned him into a toy, only Moran knows who he used to be, and everyone else has forgotten him. The only person who can remember him is probably Moran. Possessing the ability to know the past and the future, this man probably has no secrets at all in this world. What a terrifying ability this is. Moran left with his red eyes after he finished speaking. He just talked about it on a whim. As for whether Cyrus believes it or not, he has no loss. If he believes it, Rebecca will naturally belong to him in the future. He doesn't need to worry about it. Cyrus and King Liku will treat her as Moran's fiancé. "Mr. Soldier, am I really that big brother's wife in the future?" Hearing Rebecca's voice, Cyrus came back to his senses, but he didn't know how to answer this question, so he could only choose to remain silent. Rebecca didn't understand anything. Seeing Cyrus' silence, he already had the answer in his heart. It seemed that what the big brother said was true. Do I really want to be his wife when I grow up? Asking for flowers. Seeing that Rebecca had gone far away, she could only see a figure from her back. From this moment on, she buried a figure in her heart that would make her think nothing of food in the future. What Moran doesn't know is that if he speaks nonsense casually, he will gain a girl who admires and loves him very much in the future. Of course, these are things for later. After Moran and Chitong walked a certain distance, Chitong asked, Master Moran, where are we going now? Moran said without turning his head, we have to go to the arena to meet other people first, and then decide what to do next. After that, the two didn't talk. Moran was thinking about the pirates, and Akahito followed silently. His pirate team is too small, and it may not be able to manage if there are too many territories in the future. He is wondering if there is a solution. The system, do you have a way to solve the problem of personnel? If it is difficult to find the system, if there is no difficulty, the system will stay and go. I guess his system should be the system with the least sense of existence. Host, if you don't have the talent in this area, let the summoned characters do it, don't occupy the latrine and don't shit. How do you talk about the dog system? What do you mean I have no talent? I am omnipotent. Host, if you have the talent in this area, will there still be a shortage of people? Moran was speechless when asked by the system. He was born in a peaceful age and had no knowledge in this area. He really didn't understand these military affairs and management. Host, you can release Acedus. She was an admiral army before she came here. She will definitely help you bring back a group of talents and manage them in an orderly manner. Acedus does have this talent, and he had this idea when he came to New World, but he was a bit reluctant to let her out. Speaking of which, Arturia also has talent in this area, but he is reluctant to let it out, and he has also considered letting it out to say that the Wanjian pirates are recruiting people, but those who will come here are probably some crooked people. Let Melon split dates. It is difficult to recruit strong people in this way, and he looks down on those who are not strong, which is a bit difficult. Chapter 217. The Broken Moran. It seems that people with military talents such as Acedus and Arturia can only be released, and let them go out to fight in the New World. If they meet the right ones, they will subdue them. Kai Baoli, this method can only be used. Doesn't the system have the function of summoning a force? Moran asked a little bit unwillingly. Host, it's not dark yet, wait until it's dark and you're talking in your sleep, or you'll be laughed at by others. My F********** G system, what's going on with you today? Today, when the system talks to him, it has always been yin and yang, and every time he finds an opportunity, he will attack him in various ways. He hasn't offended the system recently. Host, do you have the nerve to ask this system? Are you planning to keep this string of numbers in the system space? Whether I use the money from the system is none of your business. Why don't you have anything to do with this system? The system can be upgraded if the host consumes 200 billion Baileys, but the host obviously has so many Baileys but doesn't use it. Are you trying to drive the system crazy? 21. Hearing the furious system, Moran asked weakly, you can upgrade the system, why don't I know? Host, have you really understood this system? This really caught Moran's attention. He seemed to be in trouble every time he contacted the system, or he needed to summon characters to buy things from the system. He really didn't know the system in detail. After you upgrade the system, will there be some other functions, or the current functions will not be available in the future? Is there any possibility of this happening? Host permission is insufficient, no comment. If the host wants to know, please upgrade the host as soon as possible. The system said that the choice of consumption upgrade is in your hands or in my hands. The choice is in the hands of the host. Then I'm relieved. Just wait slowly. System. At this moment, the system's heart should be like this. FK, you young man, you don't talk about martial arts. You have insufficient authority, you have no comment, you can upgrade but I just don't upgrade, hey. I just play. Moreover, this dog system is unwilling to disclose anything, and wants to upgrade it. The system thinks very beautifully. Who knows whether the system will become better or worse after the upgrade. Let this system wait slowly, wait until he squeezes out the current system, and then consider whether to upgrade it. The two had already reached the arena without knowing it. Kai Tong saw that Moran kept his head down, and the expression on his face kept changing. He knew that he was thinking about something, so he didn't bother him all the time. When the two came near the arena, Yun Tong opened his mouth to remind, Sir Shen Lan, we have already arrived at the arena. Hearing Chitong's words, Moran withdrew his consciousness from the system, raised his head and glanced, and saw the huge arena not far away. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, he came back here again. Kai Tong. Master Moran, shall we go into the arena and look for them? Moran saw a group of people coming out from the entrance of the arena, and directly refused. The arena should be over, let's wait outside for a while, they probably will come out soon. The two found a corner and waited quietly. The time passed by, and Acedus and the others walked out of it after a while. Seeing the person coming out, Kai Tong immediately stood up and shouted, Master Moran, they are coming out. Moran was taken aback by her yelling, and secretly complained in his heart. When did Kai Tong, who was originally quite stable, become so frizzy? Looking at the people approaching, Moran asked, how is the duel in the arena? Is it good? Acedus complained with disgust on his face. It's meaningless at all, it's just a group of people with lower strength fighting. Others also followed suit. That's right, it doesn't make any sense at all. Moran looked at the crowd and asked, did you see a sword fighter with a sword and no shield? Everyone looked at me and I looked at you, and they all shook their heads. No. Seeing everyone shaking their heads, Moran thought, it seems that the old guy may not be in the arena, but it is also possible that he did not appear this time. No matter what kind it is, he doesn't plan to look for it anymore. When he takes down this place, if King Liku hasn't appeared yet, then he will directly find someone to manage it. He originally wanted King Liku to continue to manage this place, but if King Liku doesn't show up, then he will directly train Rebecca to be a queen, which is also a good idea. Anyway, in Moran's eyes, Rebecca will be his sooner or later, and his own people manage this place, so he can rest assured that that's right. Hey hey. Thinking of this, Moda looked at Uchiha Itachi and said, Uchiha Itachi, I will give you a task, you go and grab that sugar for me, just grab it if you don't kill it. Boom. After Moran finished speaking, there was a bang, and it exploded into a cloud of white smoke. After the smoke slowly dispersed, a 5 or 6-year-old little loli appeared in front of everyone. The little loli that Moran turned into said, Santang looks like this, don't catch the wrong person for me, if you see someone, just use illusion to control her 490, or just knock her out, don't let her touch her. Your chance, do you understand? Understood. After Uchiha Itachi responded, he slowly blended into the crowd, and the Kung Fu man disappeared in a blink of an eye. Moran, you look so cute. Seeing Moran's transformation, Acedus immediately hugged Moran and rubbed against his face vigorously. Moran tried to push her away with hands and feet, and threatened, Acedus, put me down, or I will give you a home law at night. It's okay if Moran doesn't talk about family law, but Acedus is even more aggressive when he mentions it. She probably wants Moran to use family law. As for why Moran did not come back, there is a saying called half push, he is in pain and happy now. You can't hug Acedus alone, let us hug Lord Moran too. Yes, this is a rare opportunity. Seeing that Moran has become so cute, several girls all came up to him and wanted to hug him. Moran was quite happy at the beginning, but after he was robbed by several girls, he couldn't be happy all of a sudden. After a few minutes, Moran turned back, showing a look of lovelessness, as if he had been played badly. Chapter 218. Moran hits the King's Heights. Acedus looked at Moran who was sulking in front of him, and stepped up to comfort him. Moran, don't be angry. We are just curious to hug you, you shouldn't be angry for so long, right? Moran glared at her angrily and asked, are you guys just hugging? Why are you hugging my pants? We're just curious. After finishing speaking, Acedus glanced at Moran, and then added, besides, it's not like we haven't met before, you are too stingy. Moran looked at Acedus gnashing his teeth and shouted, have you ever seen this problem? This is on the street. Acedus and the other girls held back their smiles and turned their heads away. Some of them had never seen it before, and a few of them had never seen it just now, but they felt sorry for Moran's reaction. Fortunately, they didn't pick him off, and Moran changed back in time, otherwise he would probably be ashamed to see others in the future. Seeing that Moran was still looking angry, Acedus leaned over to admit his mistake and said, we all know Moran is wrong, please forgive us. After Acedus finished speaking, he leaned over directly, whispered a few words in Moran's ear, and then asked, is this all right 720? Moran's eyes lit up, and he said with a smirk on his face, you mustn't go back on your word. Of course I won't regret it. Acedus blushed slightly after speaking. What could make him blush? Others were very curious when they saw this scene, but they didn't dare to ask. The tornado floated up and asked Acedus curiously, Acedus, what did you tell this guy? Go, kids, why are you here to join in the fun? Before Acedus could speak, Moran pushed the tornado away and chased people away. Cut. You want to say that I don't care to listen to it? The tornado that was pushed away showed a small disdainful expression, but his eyes were full of wanting to know, but he said something wrong. At this moment, in the King's Heights, in a palace, there was a huge rectangular table, with Doflamingo sitting at the head, and most of the other Cadres were sitting here, and they had already held a meeting here for half an hour. Guggy. The gate of the palace was pushed open, and Doflamingo saw Buffalo walking in, and asked, have all the Wanjian pirates left? Buffalo replied solemnly. The young master and the others not only didn't leave, but the Dragon Emperor Moran and the others came to King's Heights. Boom. Doflamingo directly crushed the cup in his hand, his veins popped one by one, and he cursed with an ugly face. This be asterisk 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 D, I knew nothing good would happen to him coming here. After cursing for a while, Doflamingo looked at Buffalo and asked, do you know what they came here for? Buffalo Kaido. After they left the arena, they rushed directly to the Highland of the King. I don't know what they want to do. Diamante looked at the silent Doflamingo, and analyzed. Dover, we have no conflict with Dragon Emperor Moran, maybe he came to Song to find us something. Doflamingo, who was thinking about whether he had offended Moran recently, immediately rejected this. You don't know this guy, the person who was approached by this guy is either in Impel down, or in hell, and now he is no longer Shichibukai, so there is no way to change the bounty, and we don't have a bounty now, he came here this time to ask us for money, or to kill us, understand what I mean. Hearing these words, everyone in the meeting room fell silent. Doflamingo also thought of this, which made his face so ugly. But what he couldn't understand was that he hadn't offended this guy recently, why did Moran come to trouble him? What Doflamingo didn't know was that Moran had been trying to trouble him not for a day or two, but since the first meeting CBBH, Moran wanted to kill him. Moran looked at the King's Heights in front of him, turned around and said to Robin, Robin, please introduce to them, who are our opponents this time. Robin looked at everyone and introduced. This time our opponent is the Don Quixote family, the leader is one of the Shichibukai, Don Quixote Doflamingo. Officers. Senor Peak, Susui Fruit ability user. Executives. Lao Ji, a strong physicist. Cadres. Dellinger, Beta and half Murloc. Leader, Diamante, a master of swordsmanship. Officers, Gladius, those with the ability to burst fruit. Officers, Buffalo, Paramesha, who has the ability to turn around the fruit. Officers, Pika, Shishi fruit abilities. Officers, Torebel, those with sticky fruit abilities. Officers, Jorah, artistic ability. That's about it for the members of the Don Quixote family. There is also a Sugar captain who has been introduced. Since they are all Shichibukai, they don't have a bounty on them now. After seeing Robin's introduction, Moran stood up and asked, "Do you remember what Robin introduced?" "Remember the captain." Moran looked at the tornado again and said, "After the tornado fights later, you should pay attention to a few ports. As long as they want to escape, you can just sink them into the bottom of the sea." "I know." Long Wan was still sulking because of what happened just now, but when it came to Zheng, he agreed. Moran looked at Senju Hashirama again and said, "Senju Hashirama, you go back to the boat directly. Kaido and Doflamingo should have a special relationship. I'm worried that guy will come and make trouble. I'm a little worried that there is only Van Oka on the boat. It is good." After Senju Hashirama received the order, he didn't hesitate to rush directly to the port. Moran also doesn't know if the current Doflamingo has cooperated with Kaido, although the fake devil fruit hasn't appeared yet. But Doflamingo is not just doing this business, his weapons are his most profitable business. No one knows if these two guys have other cooperation, so just in case, he sent Senju Hashirama to guard the ship. Moran looked at the crowd again and ordered, "Then let's do it. Remember that everyone else is fine, but no one above the Cadres can let them escape, do you understand?" "Understood the captain." After Moran finished speaking, green energy burst out from his body, and he began to slowly float up, flying towards the top of King's Heights. Chapter 219, Sugar who was frightened and cried. Everyone in the Wanjian pirates, after seeing Moran flying up, only Chitong and Acedus rushed up to the high ground of the king. The others were all scattered, and they were going to find the Cadres of the Don Quixote family. There were only about half of the Cadres in the highlands of the king, and the other Cadres were scattered in various places in the kingdom of Dressrosa. Underground factory. This is not a factory for producing devil fruit in the future, but a factory for producing weapons now. At this time, the Cadre, Torapal, was in charge of protecting the family's special childlike fruit ability, Sugar, as usual, and was in charge of all matters of the underground factory. Because of the particularity of the Sugar, and not much fighting power, Torebel always protects behind him. Even if a fly approaches it, he will knock it down. For so many years, there has never been any accident in 423. A red light suddenly flashed in Torebel's eyes, and he shouted, "Who is it? Get out!" Uchiha Itachi came out from the corner slowly. He didn't mean to hide at all, otherwise Torebel wouldn't have found him at all. Uchiha Itachi glanced at Granu, who was protected by Torapal, and confirmed, "Hey. You are Granu and Torapal, right?" Granos didn't answer Uchiha Itachi's words, but came to Torebel's side, kicked him and said with disgust on his face, "It's too bad, you didn't realize until the enemy was in front of you. Go to hell with me." With two long snots running down his nose, Torebel lowered his head and yelled at Sugar, "I'm not going to die. Smelly brat." Uchiha Itachi looked at the two people as if he was nothing, and they didn't care about him. His face gradually darkened and asked, "Are you treating me as if I don't exist?" Torebel raised his head to look at Uchiha Itachi, and said with a solemn face, "How could it be possible that you don't exist, Uchiha Itachi, a combat member of the 10,000 Swords Pirates, what's your business here?" Sticky shooter. As soon as Torebel finished speaking, he suddenly launched an attack, shooting lumps of slime from his body, and shot it at Uchiha Itachi like a machine gun. Just now Doflamingo talked with him on the phone, saying that the Dragon King Moran might be a bad visitor this time, and asked him to be careful. But now that Uchiha Itachi has come here, he knows it's the enemy without even thinking about it, so it's better to strike first. Bang 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 bang. Whoa 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 whoa. The lumpy slime blasted Uchiha Itachi directly, and the blasted Uchiha Itachi turned into a group of crows flying around, and the lumpy slime continued to shoot towards the far wall, scarring the wall 100 holes. Torebel saw the crows gathered not far away, slowly changing back to Uchiha Itachi, and he knew that the attack just now was useless. Torebel turned his head and said to Granos behind him, "Granko, go and contact Dover. I don't think I can deal with this enemy alone. His ability. Santang, run away, he is behind you." Just when Torebel was halfway through speaking, he saw the man behind Granu, roaring and rushing directly in the direction of Granu. It turned out that Uchiha Itachi had come behind Granos without knowing when. Granos turned his head in a daze, and saw Uchiha Itachi with a blank face, staring at her with a pair of blood-red eyes, and a big windmill in his pupils. Tsukuyomi. In the blink of an eye, the whole world around her changed, the sky was blood-red, and she was tied to a cross and could not move. Gradually recovering from the shock, Granu couldn't stop crying, and asked loudly, "Where is this? Let me out." Woo. Seeing that there was no one around, only she was tied to a cross, and she was so frightened that she burst into tears. "Welcome to my world. I control all the time and space here." At this moment, Shiyu Zebo Itachi suddenly appeared next to her, and said with a blank expression. Uchiha Itachi acted as if he couldn't see the crying pear blossoms and Sugar, and was still introducing the world of Tsukuyomi on his own. Seeing that crying was useless, Xiao Tang cursed and threatened directly, "You be **************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** I advise you to let me go, or let Dover know that there are good fruits for you. Do you like swords or knives? Uchiha didn't answer her, but asked to himself. Puff. Before Sasuke could speak, Uchiha Itachi stabbed the shuriken in, ignorant of sympathy. Grano stared at Uchiha Itachi with terrified eyes, tilted his head and closed his eyes, as if he had passed out. Granu, who felt something was wrong after a while, knew Anuan opened her eyes, and when she regained her strength, her eyes were filled with fear, and she stammered and asked, why am I not dead yet? Quote. Puff. After Uchiha Itachi inserted another shuriken into Granos's body, he explained blankly, this is not the real world, it will only make you feel pain, you can't die or faint, you can only bear at once the pain of being killed for the first time, until the mental breakdown. I do not want. You let me out. I beg you to let me out. Granos looked at Uchiha Itachi with horror on his face, tears fell down like he didn't want money, and yelled incoherently. This scene can only be seen in the world of Tsukuyomi. If it were in the real world, Sato would not know how many times he passed out. Uchiha Itachi also saw such a small little loli, and couldn't bear to torture her, so he explained it so clearly that he wanted to scare her into unconsciousness. What he just said in 2.7 that he won't go into a coma is lying to her. As long as he can't bear it and causes a mental breakdown, he will pass out. Now it depends on how long she can hold on. Sure enough, it didn't take long for the sugar on the cross to stop moving. After he finished speaking, he didn't move. It was the sugar that frightened himself into unconsciousness. After Uchiha Itachi exited Tsukuyomi's world, Granos fell straight to him, and Uchiha Itachi immediately hugged her up. At this time, Torrebel rushed over, seeing that Granos had been controlled, he had to brake suddenly, but he didn't stop because of his high speed. Boom. Rumble. Torrebel was like a human bomb, hitting the wall behind Uchiha Itachi, the kind that couldn't even be buckled. Chapter 220. Sugar Coma, Dressrosa Chaos. Uchiha Itachi didn't even look at Torrebel who hit the wall, but looked down at the sugar in his arms. He was already unconscious, but the tears still couldn't stop flowing down, obviously he was very scared. For no reason, Uchiha Itachi suddenly felt a sense of guilt, there is no way for this little loli, Grano, anyone who touches her will feel this guilt. Boom. Torrebel rushed out of the ruins, and yelled at Uchiha Itachi with an ugly face, B*****************. What did you do to the sugar? Uchiha Itachi turned to look at Torrebel, and said blankly, I didn't do anything, I just scared her out. Torrebel thought to himself, not good. He knows how serious the consequences of the sugar coma are, and now it is estimated that all the toy people in Dressrosa have turned back. If this matter is not handled properly, according to Doflamingo's personality, he may die. Thinking of this, Torrebel didn't care about the fact that the sugar was still in the hands of Uchiha Itachi, and directly cursed. UB**************, let me die. Sticky meteor. After Torrebel finished speaking, he shot out a ball of mucus, stuck to a ship not far away, and smashed directly in the direction of Uchiha Itachi. Great fireball technique. Uchiha Itachi spewed a huge fireball forward from his mouth, and met the ship that hit him, and the fireball collided with the ship quickly. Boom. 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 Rumbling. The collision between the fireball and the ship directly produced an explosion, and Torrebel's slime was directly ignited, resulting in a secondary explosion. The flame quickly spread to Torrebel, and Torrebel threw off the mucus directly to avoid blowing himself. Great fireball technique. Uchiha Itachi spewed out a large amount of flames, like impatience seeds that flew out at the first touch, and smashed towards Torrebel. A-hole. Torrebel also knew that flames were his nemesis, and he would be finished if he was hit by a fireball, so he could only jump up and down, and after yelling, he began to dodge as hard as possible to prevent the fireball from touching him. Whoosh. Bang bang bang. All the flames that Uchiha Itachi spews are controlled by chakra and it is not easy to avoid them all. Boom. Rumbling. Sure enough, Torrebel was hit by a ball of flames, and his whole body exploded directly, and Torrebel was directly submerged in the fire. Uchiha Itachi just saw that Torrebel's slime will explode when it comes into contact with flames, and he is a master at playing with fire, so he threw a fireball at Torrebel without any hesitation, and the effect is not bad. When the flame had no burning objects, the flame slowly became smaller and finally extinguished, revealing the inhuman Torrebel who had been burned inside. Just after Uchiha Itachi finished playing, there was an explosion sound not far away. He turned his head and looked towards the place where the explosion came from in doubt. It turned out that the toy was transformed back and was fighting the guards here. These people wanted to rush out of the ground factory. I'm finally back. That damned Doflamingo, I'm going to find him to settle the score, for making lousy a toy for so long, it's time to make him pay. That's right, let's settle the score with him together. A pirate stood up and said, I'm talking to Doflamingo after settling accounts, we'd better get out of here now. You're right, let's talk to Tien Duzai first. Duck duck. Rush out of the underground factory and knock down all the guards. Ho 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 ho. A group of people rushed out in the direction of the exit. Some of this group were Marines, some were pirates, some were GMJs, and there were quite a few civilians. There are so many people in this group, the guards are no match for this group of people at all. After a while, a gap was rushed out by this group of people, and all of them rushed out. After Uchiha Itachi saw that everyone was almost running, he slowly followed up, holding sugar in his arms. He is one of the 100,000 people who is unwilling to take this little lowly, but this is what Moran asked for, so he can only take it back and give it to Moran. At this time, Moran had already arrived at the sky above Wangji Heights. After scanning the past and feeling the people inside, a smirk appeared on his face, and the black knife Chushui suddenly appeared in his hand. Slash with half a moon. Moran raised the black knife above his head, and with 10 knives he slashed fiercely towards the palace where Doflamingo was. Hoo! A huge slash of tens of meters quickly flew towards the palace, and the world became silent in an instant, leaving only the sound of the slash passing through the air. Doflamingo, who was in a meeting at this time, suddenly had a red light in his eyes, his face changed drastically and he shouted. Get out of here quickly. Boom. After Doflamingo finished speaking, he no longer cared about other people, but directly shot up into the sky. A big hole was stepped on the floor, smashed through the top of the palace and rushed outside. Not good. Run away. The Cadres who were still at a loss at first knew what was going on at this moment. After all, their observation hockey was not a decoration, and all of them ran out of the palace scrambling. Clang. Quote exclamation mark quote. The entire huge palace was directly divided into two. After a while, the palace collapsed directly. The slashing did not mean to stop, but continued to fly towards the distance, and finally slashed on the sea level, directly dividing the sea into two parts. 2. Moran didn't hack from top to bottom, but crossed sideways. This will be his territory in the future, so he won't destroy the island. Doflamingo uses an invisible thread, Wang Li Jiao, to tie the clouds in the sky, so as to achieve the effect of traction, so that he can stay in the sky. Doflamingo looked around, and finally found Moran not far away, and shouted with an ugly face, Dragon Emperor Moran, what do you mean? Moran waved the black knife in his hand, and asked very haughty, what do you mean by asking me? I'm the Emperor of the New World. It's fine to come to you without a welcome ceremony. You little bird doesn't know how to come and say hello. Do you not take me seriously? No reason to go to war. Do not make jokes. In Moran's eyes, the reason to go to war isn't that something that comes at hand. If he really wants to go to war, he can come up with 100 reasons, and, I see you are not happy, can be an excuse to go to war. Chapter 221. Dragon Emperor Moranbi Shichibukai Doflamingo. Doflamingo's face was dark. He didn't expect that this could be an excuse. It should be said that he didn't expect Moran to be so shameless. Which emperor of the New World needs to be greeted by other people when he lands on the island, and what kind of welcome ceremony is there? And you didn't notify me in advance, who knows you're coming? He also knew that these were just excuses that Moran made casually. Although he couldn't guess Moran's real intentions, he was very clear about one thing, that is, he was going to be in trouble today. Doflamingo is now angry and feels aggrieved. Wei Lan made him very aggrieved. After Doflamingo performed Sichuan opera and changed his face for a while, he still asked, what do you want to do? Just open the skylight and tell the truth. He also wanted to teach this guy a lesson, but he also knew that he would definitely not be able to beat Moran, so he could only admit his cowardice and ask if he could solve the problem in other ways. After serious thinking for a while, Moran looked at Doflamingo and said, I don't think the matter of your disrespect to me this time should be so simple, otherwise anyone will dare to ride on my head to shit and pee in the future. How embarrassing is my Emperor of the New World, ah. After finishing speaking, Moran looked at Doflamingo, and then asked, Doflamingo, what do you say, does what I say make sense? The more Moran talked, the darker Doflamingo's face became, and it seemed that he was going to bleed a lot this time. However, what Doflamingo didn't know was that Moran was just teasing him, and Moran had no intention of letting him go. Doflamingo, who didn't know why, asked directly, how many Baileys do you need, just tell me the number. Hearing this, Moran said with a smile, I don't really want much, just all the Baileys of your Don Quixote family. I don't think you who are so generous will refuse me. Then there is nothing to talk about, go to hell with me. 5 color strings. Each of Doflamingo's 5 fingers produced a nearly transparent thin silk thread, posing in the posture of a beast's claw, and the 5 silk threads in the fingers grabbed Moran. Wow. Moran didn't make any further resistance, but Jonwenrui separated his body in advance, and several threads passed through him directly, and his body slowly returned to its original shape. He thought of this move with Aokiji. Even if he elementalizes in advance to cover Hockey's attack, he still can't hit him. After Moran recovered completely, he looked at Doflamingo and asked, Doflamingo, you shot at me, have you thought about the consequences? Foo. Doflamingo's face was dark, and Moran laughed angrily. After laughing for a while, he roared, if you want to trouble me, just tell me, you are taking off your pants and farting, is it unnecessary? Leg shave string. Doflamingo rushed directly to Moran after speaking, and rushed in front of Moran in an instant, created 8 almost transparent thin silk threads from the tip of his toes, with sharp silk threads attached, and kicked Moran's head with a whip leg. Moran raised the black knife in his hand without hesitation, and slashed fiercely at Doflamingo's pitch-black kick. Bump. Crack. Click. Click. The air waves generated by the collision between the two carried black lightning, and spread in all directions in circles. The entire sky was like the end of the world, with strips of black lightning unscrupulously scurrying around in the sky. Hey, hello, is this a failed negotiation? Is this a conqueror's hockey collision? Sure enough, Dragon Emperor Moran, like Dover, has the qualifications to become a king. It's not surprising that an emperor of the New World has such qualifications. Then aren't we about to confront the 5 emperors? Dragon Emperor Moran of the 10,000 Swords Pirates directly attacked the King's Heights. They are not good people this time. How can we defeat this monster? Diamante looked at the messy Cadres, and directly yelled at them. Shut up, I haven't reached that point yet. Even if there is a real fight, it is now on our territory, it's not like there's no chance of winning, is it? After Diamante said this, several Cadres also calmed down one after another, and stopped saying things that would hurt others' ambitions and destroy their own prestige. Ask for flowers. 0. After being quiet for a while, Lao Ji suddenly said, speaking of which, why is the town below so noisy since the beginning? There must be something wrong down there. Several Cadres came to the edge of Wangji Heights and looked down at the town below. As they expected, the town below was full of artillery fire and turned into a mess. Diamante saw that there was no toy in the crowd below, and guessed with an ugly face. I didn't see a single toy below. Could it be that something happened to the sugar? How is it possible? The top cadre on the side of the sugar, Torable, is protecting her around the clock. How could something happen to her? Lao Ji reminded with an ugly face. Of course there will be no accidents, but don't forget, who is our enemy this time? It is the Emperor of the New World, the crew of the Dragon Emperor Moran. Did something really happen? If there is a problem with the sugar, it will be a big deal. I'm going to find sugar. Diamante quickly stopped him and said, Monet, wait a minute, we don't know the situation yet, let's find it together after we understand the situation. However, Monet seemed to be unable to hear his words, and jumped directly from Wangji Heights. When he fell halfway, he turned into a snow bird, flapped his wings and flew farther and farther, and disappeared instantly in a blink of an eye. Diamante looked at Monet who was flying away, and said to Buffalo, call her and ask her to come back, and call Torable by the way to ask about the situation. Lao Ji persuaded. San Tang is her younger sister, it's normal for her to be anxious, and we have no reason to stop her, just let him go. Buffalo looked at the two of them in a dilemma. That. Diamante also felt that what Lao Ji said was reasonable, and said directly, call Torable first, and ask him about the situation there before making a decision. Buffalo directly took out a phone bug with a snotty nose, and called directly. This is Torable's phone number. Brr brr. Brr brr. Chapter 222. Doflamingo was knocked down from King's Heights. Boo-hoo. Buffalo held the phone bug, and was stared at by everyone, breaking out in a cold sweat, and stammered, electronic, the phone bug, no one answered. The phone rang for a long time but no one answered, everyone's face gradually sank, no one answered what it meant, no need to say much, everyone understood, it meant that Torable and Granu's side were probably in dire straits yes. After being silent for a while, Diamante said to Buffalo, you are the only one who can fly here in Buffalo, and you are the only one who can catch up with Monet, follow her and see her. I see. Buffalo also jumped directly off the King's Heights. After falling halfway, his body turned into a propeller, and quickly chased Monet in the direction of Monet like an airplane. Touch. Whoop. These are two people fighting in the air, one of them was beaten and flew upside down, and fell to the bottom of the town, the speed was too fast and only an afterimage could be seen. Boom. Rumbling. The place where the figure 21 fell was like an earthquake, and circles of air waves spread in all directions like shock waves. The houses within 100 meters were shaken and collapsed, leaving a cloud of dust. Moran saw within 100 meters of the town, as if there had been an earthquake, touched his nose in embarrassment, and said to himself, this movement is a bit loud. He was just thinking about not destroying the town. After all, this will be his territory in the future, and he still has to repair it himself after destroying it. So he tried to avoid causing damage, he just kicked lightly, he didn't expect Doflamingo to be so careless, he is really a waste. Look at that guy is still on the top, isn't it Dover who fell? Damn this B*************** D. It seems that Dover alone is no match for this guy, let's help Dover. But none of us can fly. Several cadres who were still on Wangji Heights saw Doflamingo being knocked down, and they were anxious to help, but they couldn't fly, so they could only stare blankly but had no choice. Diamante didn't care about the messy people at the side, but walked to a conspicuous position, looked at Moran in the air and asked loudly, what exactly do you want, Dragon Emperor Moran? He knows that even Doflamingo is not an opponent, even if they all go together, they are not Moran's opponents, and Moran is not the only one in the Wanjian pirates, and there are many monsters on his ship. So if they want to solve this problem, they can only negotiate with Moran instead of rushing to die without thinking. Moran glanced at Diamante when he heard the voice, and instead of answering his question, he rushed down in the direction of several cadres. Moran didn't want to talk so much nonsense with them, anyway, their Don Quixote family would be wiped out after today, and there would be no more Don Quixote family in the world. Crack. Moran turned into Thunderbolt for a few flashes, and Thunderbolt fell behind several cadres, and Moran slowly returned to his human form. What? Several cadres just reacted and exclaimed. Moran raised his long legs and swept towards Diamante sideways. Bullfighting cloak. Diamante's cloak instantly turned into steel, and then covered with hockey, trying to block Malin's attack. Bump. Crack. Crack. Diamante was kicked to pieces by Moran in an instant, and he was also kicked upside down, falling to the bottom of the town. Diamante. Several cadres who were still on the high ground saw Diamante who was kicked out by Moran, and they all ran into the edge of the high ground and shouted his name anxiously. However, Diamante, who had already fallen, did not respond, and was obviously knocked unconscious by Moran. Seeing Diamante slowly turning into a small black spot, several cadres turned their heads and shouted angrily at Moran. You be asterisk 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 D, we will fight with you. Moran looked at the several cadres rushing up blankly, then disappeared in place in an instant, appeared among several cadres, and kicked them off one by one. Bang bang bang, bang. What? Moran's speed was too fast and several cadres couldn't react at all, and were kicked off the King's Highland by Moran one after another. Moran didn't feel sorry for her at all, she didn't even let the girl baby 5 go, she kicked the King's Heights all the way. Da 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 da. Moran, you are too mean. That's right, not a single enemy stayed with us. At this time, there was a sound of footsteps behind Moran, as well as the complaints of Chitong and Acedus. They rushed to the King's Heights, only to find that there were no enemies. If I had known that they would not come here, I could still drink some soup when I went to other places. Now I guess I don't even have to drink soup. Moran turned around and looked at the two women, touched his nose in embarrassment and explained, it's because they are too careless, and I can't blame me for that. Then he added, I don't know the other cadres, but Doflamingo is definitely not dead, you should be able to beat him up now. Others would probably die if they fell from such a height, but Doflamingo certainly didn't die that easily. He remembered that when Doflamingo fought Luffy, he was also beaten by 270 Luffy from the King's Heights, and Doflamingo seemed to be a normal person, standing up and fighting Luffy for 300 rounds, so he was sure that Doflamingo was not dead. Really? Of course it's true, have I lied to you? Hearing that Acedus was still panting, his eyes lit up, and after receiving Moran's assurance, he turned around and rushed down to the town. Moran, you are not allowed to make another shot. This guy must be left to me. Acedus, who was halfway there, turned his head a little worriedly and said. Okay, I won't make a move, you go, or that guy will run away. Moran agreed with a smile. Looking at Acedus walking away, Moran looked at Chitong and asked, these cadres probably don't die so easily, why don't you go down and join in the fun? The cute Kaido with red pupils, I want to stay here to protect your safety. Acedus can solve the following people by himself, and I don't need my help. Moran asked speechlessly, there are no powerful enemies here, why are you protecting me? Seeing Chitong lowering her head, Moran leaned close to her ear with a smirk and said, you want to use the name of protecting me to stay here and get along with me alone. Chapter 223, Doflamingo is crazy. Chitong's small thoughts were exposed, his face was red to the roots of his ears, his whole little head was buried in his collar, and he didn't dare to raise his head to look directly at Moran. Moran looked shy and didn't dare to look up at his red pupils, held back a smile and said with emotion, so you are such red pupils. Master Moran is not what you think, I. Chitong raised her head and blushed and wanted to explain, but she didn't know what to explain. I was stunned for a long time, but I couldn't say a complete sentence. Every time Moran sees the shy red pupils, he can't help but want to tease her, and now it's almost become a habit. Moran looked at Chitong who lowered his head shyly, and didn't continue to tease him, but asked, Chitong, I want to go to the theater, do you want to go together? Without even thinking about it, Chitong said directly, yes. If you want to go to the theater together, then come and hug me tight. Hearing the words, Kai Tong slowly pinched the corner of her skirt, blushing and cautiously approached Moran, as if Moran was some kind of scourge. Moran looked at the cautious Kai Tong, picked her up by the waist, and jumped down the town with her. Moran looked at Kai Tong who was holding him tightly in his arms, and the whole body was buried in his arms. He was a little puzzled. He had already shared the same bed, but Kai Tong was still so shy. But the shy red pupil, so fragrant, hee. At this time, the group of people below the town who had turned from toys back into humans had rushed towards the high ground of the king, but now they all stopped and looked at the 100-meter ruins that were smashed down. After Cyrus transformed back, he rushed over with Rebecca and mixed in with the crowd, looking at the 100-meter range that was smashed down. He said with emotion, it seems that guy really made a move, but he still doesn't know the current battle situation. Anything. Rebecca next to him asked suspiciously, Father, do you mean that the one fighting Doflamingo is today's big brother? Cyrus looked at the 100-meter pit and replied, that's right, except for that guy, there should be no one on this island who can do this. Rebecca looked at Dekeng and said to herself, the big brother is really amazing. Rebecca and Cyrus have just had a shocking recognition, and now Rebecca has changed her name to her father, so I won't talk about the details. What's going on with this big pit within 100 meters? Is anyone else fighting Doflamingo? There must be someone really fighting Doflamingo, otherwise we wouldn't be able to change back for no reason. But the aftermath of the battle can actually create a large crater within a range of 100 meters. Is this still something humans can do? I just heard that there are 5 emperors on this island, do you think they did it? If the news is accurate, it should be them. A battle of this level is probably only possible with that kind of monster. A group of people who had just transformed from toys back into humans stopped in front of the 100-meter pit and talked about it. They wanted to rush to the high ground to settle accounts with Doflamingo, but they were all stopped by the pit. Look, there is a person in the pit. After all the dust in the big pit dispersed, the people around the big pit finally found the people in the big pit. That's Doflamingo. How did he appear here? Could it be that this big hole was smashed out by him? Is he dead if he doesn't move? It's better to be dead. Lousy has been turned into a toy for so long, he deserves to die. Boom. Everyone was still pointing at Doflamingo. He suddenly shot up, CBAJ, from the big pit and landed in front of the person who just spoke. Yeah, blah, blah. Doflamingo looked at the person in front of him condescendingly, and asked with an ugly face, "Do you dare to point fingers at me now, even a trash like you?" Much. Doflamingo. The person who spoke just now felt a suffocating sense of oppression exuding from Doflamingo's body, so he sat down on the ground in fright and stammered. Doflamingo walked forward step by step, and when he came to the person sitting on the ground, he swung his whip leg towards the person sitting on the ground. Boom. Rumbling. The people sitting on the ground were directly swept away, smashing through one house after another, and spider webs quickly covered the smashed houses, and all the smashed houses collapsed. How is it possible? That is a pirate with a bounty of 50 million Baileys, and he was blown away with one blow. How could we defeat this monster? What? The people around were still in shock and did not recover. Doflamingo killed another pirate. After Doflamingo killed a pirate, he continued to walk towards the crowd step by step, and the people standing in front of him met one and killed the other. Not good. Doflamingo crazy. Run away. If you stay here, you will be killed. The group of people who came back to their senses were still shouting to settle accounts with Doflamingo just now, but now they fled in all directions regardless. Settle accounts. Don't be kidding, my life is almost gone, so what's the deal? It is more important to run for your life as soon as possible. Doflamingo was chasing after him crazily, and a group of people ran away desperately in front, and they had long forgotten to settle accounts with Doflamingo. Pat. At this time, Moran landed on a roof with red eyes, looked at the crowd chasing each other on the ground, with a look of interest, and had no intention of making a move at all. Seeing Moran watching a show, Chitong couldn't help asking, "Master Moran, won't you help them?" Moran glanced at Chitong. This little girl is still so righteous, she can't see being bullied by the strong, but who are these people? Most of them are pirates, marines, GMJs, and civilians who have changed back to human form. The first time they didn't come to settle accounts with Doflamingo, but the first time they went home. So there are basically no civilians here, and no one in the crowd is a good bird, so why care about their lives? Moran thought of this and explained speechlessly, "Chitong, you like to help others. I don't care about that, but look at who these people are." Chapter 224, Acedus v Doflamingo. Chitong heard what Moran said, but still didn't understand, so he looked at the crowds fleeing desperately on the street, and asked with a puzzled face, "Master Moran, aren't they people who were turned into toys?" Moran looked at the cute red pupil, rubbed her little head, and patiently explained, "It's true that they were turned into toys, but among them, none of them are civilians, they are all sea creatures. People from Thief, Marine, GMJ, why do we care about the lives of these people?" Kai Tong showed a small expression of sudden realization, and then asked suspiciously, "Master Moran, is it true that none of the toys that Mr. Moran was turned into were civilians?" Of course there are many civilians who are turned into toys, but if the civilians are turned into toys for several years, and then suddenly turn back one day, do you think they will come to Dover, 633, Langming to settle accounts at this time, or how about going home to reunite with your family? Kai Tong, who understood, said a little embarrassedly, "So these people are not generals." "I'm sorry, Lord Moran, I misunderstood you." "What's the use of being sorry, it's better to have something practical." After Moran finished speaking, he put his face on it brazenly, the meaning was obvious, "Let's have a fragrant one." Seeing Moran approaching, Chitong discussed timidly, "Master Moran has so many people here, so I owe you first, can you wait until there is no one?" No, Moran refused without even thinking about it. He just likes to see Chitong shy. He doesn't feel that way when there is no one around. What he's playing is exciting. Chirp. Chitong blushed helplessly, leaned forward to offer Moran a cent, then quickly retreated back and lowered her head, not knowing where to put her hands pinching the corners of her skirt. At this time, Acedus, who had just come down from King's Highlands, saw Moran and Chitong kissing me here, and instantly became jealous, and said with resentment, "You two guys are too embarrassing, I've worked so hard to climb the stairs, and you're here to kiss me." If she knew that Moran was coming down too, she wouldn't have run up the stairs. Now she ran down first, but Moran and Chitong got here before her. Don't think about it, she knows how these two people got down, probably Sha Lan flew down directly with red pupils. Moran looked at Acedus who was approaching, and asked with a smirk, "Yo. How much vinegar did you eat, Acedus, to have such a strong vinegar smell?" Then he added, "Don't be jealous, my face is always ready for you, if you want to come, then come." After Moran finished speaking, he brought the other side of his face closer, as if waiting for Acedus to stamp him. Acedus was a little moved, but he retracted his step forward in an instant, and said inappropriately, "I don't care about it." After Acedus finished speaking, he walked towards Doflamingo, and said as he walked, "I'm going to chase Doflamingo, you continue to live your two-person world." Kai Tong looked at Acedus who was walking away slowly, and asked a little worriedly, "Will Acedus hate me after we do this?" Moran looked at the worried Chitong, and couldn't help teasing her, saying, "She hates you, not me, it's none of my business." "Master Moran, how can you do this? How am I?" You. Moran looked at Chitong who was anxiously speaking incoherently, and felt that he was about to let it go, so he comforted him, "Okay, I was just kidding you, Acedus is not as stingy as you said, she won't hate you, do not worry." "Really? Of course it's true, when have I lied to you?" Chitong still looked at Moran suspiciously, and said in his heart, "You just lied to me, as long as you don't lie to me every day, I'll be very happy." Moran looked at Chitong's expression of disbelief, and asked Zhou directly, Hey. Chitong, are you serious with your little expression?" Kai Tong quickly put away her small expression, and casually said, Master Moran, you are wrong, I will always believe what you say. Acedus, wait for me, I'll go with you. After Chitong casually babbled a few words to Moran, he went straight in the direction Acedus was walking, chased after him, and left Moran alone on the spot. Hey, don't you want to protect me, Chitong? Lord Moran doesn't need my protection now, Kai Tong said without turning her head. Moran looked at the two girls who were walking away slowly. Isn't it just a little cheat every day, a few days a big cheat? Why are you doing this to someone, Mo? And you are still enjoying it? Moran thought secretly. At this time, Doflamingo was still chasing a group of people to kill, when suddenly a huge blue slash came towards him quickly. Clang. Doflamingo hurriedly dodged to the side, the blue slash flew past him, and continued to fly into the distance. Boom. Rumbling. The houses that were struck by the slash were divided into two, and finally collapsed, stirring up a cloud of dust. That's a slash. Is this a slash that a human can strike? Could it be the man who just fought Doflamingo, caught up? A group of people who were fleeing stopped one after another to look at a long deep ditch that was cut out, a deep ditch that could not be seen at a glance. Da 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 da. At this time, footsteps of high heels came slowly, and a graceful figure came from the end of the street. Look, someone is coming. Did she make that slash just now? It's too far away to see clearly, but it looks like a woman. Acedus exudes a turbulent momentum all over his body, and he walks over step by step, as if stepping on everyone's heart with every step, making them all breathless. What's the matter with this suffocating feeling of oppression? A pirate recognized Acedus, thinking that someone said there was a 5 emperors on this island, and exclaimed directly, that is the fighting member of the Wanjian pirates, Acedus, Queen of Ice, could it be as the one on this island the 5 Emperor Dragon Emperor Moran? As expected of the crew of the 5 emperors, this suffocating sense of oppression, just relying on her momentum, makes people lose the courage to resist her. Who said it wasn't? But the crew is so strong, so how strong is the Dragon Emperor Moran? Don't think about it too much, it's not what you and I can imagine anyway, judging by her appearance, she should be looking for trouble for Doflamingo, let's watch a show. Chapter 225, Doflamingo's Huge Birdcage. Doflamingo also saw Acedus approaching, and asked with a gloomy face, are you Wanjian pirates really going to kill me? Acedus said blankly, the order I received is to kill all of your Don Quixote family, you'd better die for me obediently. After Acedus finished speaking, he soared into the sky, jumped into the sky and snapped his fingers. Hail-free leap. A huge ice puck fell down. Acedus was covered with armament hockey, black and shiny like an iron ball, and hit Doflamingo. Spider's web. Doflamingo looked at the ice puck with a disheveled face, and swung his left hand towards the spider web formed by many spider silk threads radiating from the front. Bump. The spider web was so hard that it even intercepted the huge ice ball. Acedus landed on the ice puck and stepped on it hard. Doflamingo supported the puck with one hand, and his face darkened instantly when he saw this scene. 10 donkeys rolled and ran to the side in embarrassment. Boom. Rumbling. The moment the ice puck collided with the ground, spider webs quickly appeared on the ground, and circles of air waves spread in all directions like shock waves, kicking up a cloud of dust covering hundreds of meters. Doflamingo ran away in the opposite direction before the dust dissipated. Now he has realized that he is no match for these people. If he continues to fight against the Wanjian pirates, he may die here. What? A battle of this level is not something we can watch. A little aftermath can kill us countless times. Look at the ground beneath your feet. This place may also collapse. Not good. Run away. Go. Go, I don't want to be buried alive here. The crowd who were still watching the excitement just now saw the cracks in the spider web under their feet, and they all screamed again and again, and started their desperate escape again. Dover, young master, are you all right? After Doflamingo ran far away, he suddenly heard someone calling him from behind. He turned around and saw that it was their Don Quixote family who rushed over, but all of them were injured. The clothes are also tattered, it seems that they have also been attacked by the Wanjian pirates. Doflamingo saw that only the 3 Cadres Diamante, Lao Ji, and Baby 5 came over, and asked with an ugly face, why are you the only ones here, and the others? Diamante took 2 steps forward and explained, we don't know about the others, and we can't even get in touch with the phone bug. Monet and Buffalo have already gone to find them, but there has been no news back. Alphad hyphenation point Moran, that damn B asterisk 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 D. Diamante looked at the cursing Doflamingo, and asked, what should we do now in Dover? If we go head to head with the Wanjian pirates, we will all go together. I'm afraid they are not their opponents. After thinking for a while with an ugly face, Doflamingo said directly, let's leave Dressrosa first and then make plans. We are indeed no match for this group of monsters, but we can also bring Kaido in. When Kaido joins come to us, I don't believe it, but I can't help them Wanjian pirates. Hee hee, you don't think you can escape, do you? Da 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 da. Not far from Doflamingo and the others, a sarcastic remark suddenly came, followed by the sound of high heels stepping on the ground. I saw Acedus holding a long knife in his hand, walking slowly, as if he was not afraid of them running away at all. Doflamingo looked at Acedus who was catching up and said to the 3 Cadres with an ugly face, I'll hold her back, you 3 run first. Diamante refused without even thinking about it. Dover, we can't leave you and escape alone. If we want to escape, we will run together. At worst, we will fight her. That's right, we won't leave the young master alone. Neither will I run away alone. Diamante had just finished his statement. Lao Ji and Baby 5 were not to be outdone, and expressed that they would never run away alone. All 3 Cadres stayed, but Doflamingo couldn't be happy, because so many people couldn't escape at all, and these 3 Cadres would only hold him back, so he wanted the 3 Cadres to leave first, and then he was looking for a chance to escape. Thinking of this, Doflamingo said directly, if you don't run out first, none of us can escape. But, stop it, get out of here quickly. Seeing Doflamingo's resolute attitude, Diamante knew that it was useless to say anything, so he said to the other 2 Cadres. We listen to Doflamingo, the 3 of us here will only become his burden, so let's go first. Okay, young master, you have to be careful. Dover, you must come out alive. I won't die so easily, don't worry. After the 3 of Diamante said a few words, they ran towards the port without looking back, and disappeared in a flash. Acedus walked towards Doflamingo slowly. She did not stop the fleeing Cadres, but said sarcastically, you don't have to think that they can really escape, do you? After a pause, he continued, our Wanjian pirates have surrounded this island. Unless you can defeat us, none of you will be able to escape. We beat it. Hearing this, Doflamingo's face changed drastically, and he roared angrily with a black face, from Liao Nuo, so what if I can't run away? Even if I die here today, I will bite off a piece of your flesh. Quote. Birdcage forever. The transparent thread in Doflamingo's hand, like a volcanic eruption, spewed out into the air continuously. After these thousands of transparent threads erupted into the air, they fell like a meteor shower. When the transparent thread fell to the ground, it formed an arc-shaped birdcage that stretches from the sky to the ground with countless threads. Foo 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 foo. After Doflamingo saw the completion of the huge birdcage, he burst into a unique burst of laughter, which lasted for a long time before stopping. Doflamingo, who had had enough laughs, looked at Acedus with a mad face and said, this huge birdcage cannot be broken. Everyone in the birdcage will die, and you Wanjian pirates are no exception.